hey, how are you doing? I'm doing pretty alright. I've been doing pretty good. Let me just double check, make sure I'm good here on my end. And I gotta say, first off, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. Hopefully you're doing fine, because I'm doing good too. This is me, your host, Vice Capitan. And yeah, we're back. We're gonna continue reading more of the SMT TTRPG. SMT TTRPG, SMT TTRPG, SMT TTRPG. Wow, it's a mouthful every time. But yeah, we're going to be back. We're going to try to hopefully finish reading up Tokyo Conception. And yeah, I mean, we got quite a bit to take a look at left. Well, it's not too much left. It's mostly like looking through the areas. Like we started reading through a little bit about the geography of the Vortex World, and we've got like a little bit more to go on that. Like specifically, we have to talk about terminals, we have to talk about the Amala network, and a couple of the other in-universe locations and like other things. I do remember specifically seeing there is some point in the book that it does recommend adding in your own locations, but we'll talk about when we get there. That and we still have the GM section to read through, which is the most important part, arguably, to be honest, because it's one thing to read the book to understand how to play. It's another thing to understand how to run the game, because that's the hard part, okay? So, on that news, yeah, no short today, mostly because I've been a little bit behind on editing. Yeah, I know, right? But been a little bit busy, so we've been a little bit delayed on that. I'm gonna be real with you. Also, still did not get that 777 achievement from last night, but we're getting there. Oh, dude, gambling and JRPGs, what a dynamic duo that I absolutely hate every time. Oh man. So that aside, I do gotta say, yeah, the new VODs that are gonna be coming up soon on the VOD channel are actually gonna be all of the Final Fantasy III playthroughs. So if you missed out on that, you're going to be able to take a look at that coming up. And yeah, that's where we're at. New shorts coming up are going to be kind of fun because there's some more of the Kingmaker stuff, actually. So before we get into this, let me just make sure I've got this ready to go and we can get started. And there we go. Oh, that's weird. Why is that cutting that off? Oh, hold on. I see. There we go. Okay, that should be a little bit better. Hold on. I just have to make some adjustments on my end. There we go. And it's just going to cut off any text? A little bit. Hold on, let me make an adjustment here. Okay. Well, we'll figure it out. You know what? Let me just fix this. And just make sure that's good. Okay, cool. All right. Now we're good. Okay, let's get started now. Sorry about that. Had to make an adjustment here. Okay, well, back at it. So last time we left off, we started looking at the section, and more specifically, it's the Vortex World. Like, we started looking into the actual setting. Like, we talked about what is the Vortex World. You know, we talked about the different regions a little bit here. But now we're going to actually go into, like, more in-depth on a lot of this stuff. But let's see, we talked about the necessities. I do think it's very interesting, though, that this section exists here, because it's the most interesting part here. Like, in the Vortex World, the passage of time isn't that important. It's never a necessity to eat or drink. You'll never need to sleep or rest. Even if you walk the deserts, you will never grow tired or thirsty. You won't even sweat. Your hair and nails won't grow. Your body won't consistently renew its skin cells because you need a bath. And cause you to need a bath, nor will you ever need to use the restroom ever. For demons, this is how it always has been, or how it always has existed, so they pay it no mind. However, among the scant few humans who have survived, some will wonder if these facts don't point to the Vortex World being a kind of afterlife, or even a virtual reality environment of an online game. I in my opinion, I think this is a very interesting point to look at, because it's still something that's interesting. It gives a little bit more character to the world and the setting, because usually you don't really think about these things when you're playing the game, because when you're playing Nocturne, you're mostly running around as the Demi-Fiend and you just kind of go from beat to beat, point to point. But it's funny that they wrote up a little bit of an explanation as to, well, why doesn't he ever get tired? How come you don't ever have to go rest or find places like that? So that is nice, you know, a little bit of an explanation to the video game-ness of it. So that's cool. Okay, so I think we started talking about the geography here. We talked about the terminals and the Amala network at the start. But let's talk about the tunnels, because I think we talked about the first section, so let's talk about tunnels. Because we're going to have a lot to talk about here. I think, ooh, interesting. Okay, this is good. This also talks about some gameplay mechanics you can implement on the players while exploring, which is great, because this is kind of a funny thing, because this is in a lot of retro Mega 10 games, but it is cool seeing that, you know, you can implement it in a TTRPG as well. So, tunnels. The 6 regions of the Vortex World are completely cut off from one another, with the exception being the tunnels. These underground tunnels have been discovered over time connecting these regions, but there could be more undiscovered tunnels. Fair enough. The Great Underpass of Ginza is a massive sewer tunnel that connects the Harumi warehouse with the Ikebukuro. The Ikebukuro, Asakusa, and Yurakucho tunnels are 3 tunnels that which originated from the original subway lines. The Ikebukuro tunnel connects East Ikebukuro to Asakusa, and Asakusa tunnel runs from Yushima to the Gayanmai and opens a path to Yoyogi Park. And lastly, the Yurakucho tunnel goes from Yurakucho to Kasumigaseki. Okay. Wow. Mouthfuls. I'm sorry. Japanese names are a little bit difficult to pronounce. The best way I can say is always look at it in breaks between 3 letters and 2 letters, because sometimes that's typically, like, I think how you would read the kanji on that. Usually 3 letters or 2 letters are representing a portion of kanji. So you would usually need to break it into 2s and 3s, or identify different fragments of the word, and you can go by that. Let's see, we got danger zones. Places stick with miasma for... Let's see, for each Kagutsuchi phase spent in the danger zone, a character loses 10% of their max HP with a chance, oh my god, it's a 20% chance, to inflict poison on them as well. To pass through these areas, you need something with a lift effect, such as a float ball item or a liftoma. Now, I would assume if you were to, for some reason, maybe if you wanted to, or you could just be kind of a dick, depends on whatever you're floating your boat with here, you could have the players have to go through a tunnel where there is poison. And in that case, I would say, well, lift and float wouldn't work. You would just need to bite the bullet and run through it as fast as you can. Understandable. Right. What else? Dark zones. It's funny because I don't think there were dark zones in Nocturne. So this is kind of interesting seeing this as a returning feature from older games, but that's cool. Let's see, dark zones. They're exactly that. Areas with no light, and when entering such an area, unless someone in the party possesses a luck check, you'll waste time wandering around, getting lost. Even worse, should combat happen in a dark zone, the chance of being ambushed goes up by 50%, and enemies gain 1d10 bonus to their initiative roll. Damn, that's pretty bad. So, very obviously, do not do that. I mean, think about it this way. It would lead to an interesting situation where you would need to force your players into an environment that maybe they're going through an old subway tunnel. Lights go dark. Something happens. Now, it's funny because there is a dark area in Nocturne. I think it's one of the subway stations where you have to go and fight, my goodness, it's one of the Onis, and you fight like all the different Onis together in that tunnel. But the thing is, it's dark in the fact that you can't really see well, but that doesn't affect anything for combat-wise. So, in a sense, if you really wanted to, you could use that as sort of like the backing for this, which, I'll be honest, you might end up doing. Okay, warp zones. Warp zones are kind of trap and movement. Let's see, are kind of a trap. And the moment a character steps on one, they immediately get teleported to another location. Ah, yes, another classic bullshit mechanic from old Mega 10 returns. More specifically, though, this mechanic is, I believe it was in the game. It was in the jail, if I'm remembering, where the jail gets flipped upside down and you have to go through like a warp maze to get around through it. I remember because you had to like chase a pyrojack through it, I think. Oh, I'll be honest. My memory of Nocturne is a little bit foggy sometimes because it has been a while since I've beaten the whole game. Oh, maybe we'll do that at some point. Do a run back. Okay. What do we got next? Okay, the Amala Network. Okay, this is actually going to be kind of interesting because the Amala Network is complicated. But let's see how the book wants us to run it. Let's see, the Amala Network is the name for the channel of the Magatsuhi flowing through the ground of the Vortex World. It's not directly accessible from the surface. However, one can enter it either through a terminal or due to a terminal link error. Unfortunately, leaving it requires searching for a gateway back to the surface. Okay, so you could probably do like a section like in the game when you were teleporting, and I think Hijiri was trying to help us, and you get stuck in the middle of the Amala Network. So that could be interesting to run for a bit of a segment. Hey, what's up, Leaf? How you doing? Welcome aboard. Welcome back. How you doing? Bum. Let's see. Getting information about what's happening outside the network is next to impossible. Yeah, understandable. It's kind of a one-way gig. Though it is said that one can send messages from the terminal to places in the network where Magatsuhi flows thinnest. So again, kind of like what happened in the game, you would go through the dungeon and you could have maybe someone guiding the players at different points. They could sort of get additional information maybe. And maybe you could use that as like a way to sort of help navigate your players through it. Also, let me make myself a little bit bigger here. There we go. Let's see, what else do we got here? Let's see, demons of the elements and foul clans are most commonly seen here. But there are layers to the Amala Network, and the deeper you go, the more kinds of demons will appear. There are no fountains of life in the Amala Network. From time to time, you may run into a soul that will heal you for free. This sort of generosity is rare. I see. Let's see. An MMO you used to love got taken down by the Korean publisher site. I've been trying to rip the game's files in a bid to try and preserve what you can. Really? What game was it? Also, let me guess, was it a Nexon thing? Because I wouldn't be surprised. It is kind of interesting, though, seeing like how a lot of Korean MMOs like go through that cycle where like the game will just kind of exist for a bit and then like get deleted like after a while. Oh man. Oh, that's not good. Oh, hold on. You know what? Let me... I just realized something with the chat box. I can just fix that real quick. There we go. Just had to move chat over. I was like, your messages was getting cut off. There you go. It's called Closers Online. That sounds familiar. I don't think I've played it, but... Let's see... Instead of a side-scrolling, it's a side-scrolling based MMO, like Double Dragon if it was an anime and an MMO. It kind of reminds me, was it like, oh my god, what is the name of the game? Honest Hearts? Rusty Hearts? Rusty Hearts. That's what it was, I think. I remember that game, and it was kind of similar. Do you think that counts? Although, I think that game got taken offline too, now I'm questioning it. Ugh. You never know with some of these things, what can I say? Okay. Anyways, let's see. Untapped Network. It is said that the Amala Network covers covers the entirety of the Vortex World, and so by traveling its corridors, you could theoretically access any region you want. However, no one knows the exact layout of the network. How would one reach a specific region, according to the magazine writer Hijiri Hiroji? Wait, bro. who is an expert in the relationship of the Amala network and its terminals, there exist specific routes between Shibuya and Ginza. That's so specific to the game. I feel like you could probably write another reason. Because think about it this way, if we're running our own campaign here, it's kind of tricky because, you know, what if in our campaign setting we don't have Hijiri? We would probably need to create our own character that can sort of help guide the players through the Amala network. So that would be an interesting thing, but I guess you can kind of write your own new reason as to why the terminals work in a way they do. I mean, I guess, look, for balance sake, because this game does have actual recommended levels for locations, which we are going to look at in a sec. That is something interesting to talk about there, which I think we did notice some of that. I think when we scrolled down last time to take a look, we did see a little bit of that, so we're going to have a little bit more to talk on that. And you think the original dev was the guys who worked on Elsword? Oh my god, that's another game that I've heard of. I don't think I've played, but I've definitely heard of it. Entering the network. Only boss characters or characters with the human exclusive item pro can open the path to the Amala network from a terminal. Interesting. This only allows entry to the upper layers of the network. However, the only established route is from Shibuya to Ginza. Okay. Interesting. Network inhabitants. Within the network, there are many souls who choose to live there and are going... there are many souls who choose to live there and are hiding away from the Vortex World. These souls are devoted to the reason of Masubi, and as a result, they value solitude above all else. They generally want nothing to do with people who come from the surface, and these souls will change the Amala network itself by closing off various routes or installing warp trap zones, all to prevent coming into contact with others. Wow, that's kind of a pain in the ass now I'm thinking about it. Go figure. Well, let me lower this just a little bit more. Let's see. Okay, this is going to be interesting. Rules for using the Amala network. The GM may, if their scenario demands it, have the player characters enter the Amala network from a terminal or even cause them to fall into the network due to an error. When it would disrupt their scenario, the GM may also prevent player characters from entering the Amala network at all. Fair enough. Indeed, the particulars of entering the Amala network are entirely left to the GM. This includes allowing player characters to enter the lower layers of the network, skipping right by the upper layers if the GM chooses so. Okay. Interesting. So, I mean, I guess it's really just up to your GM, though. If you want, you can have, I would say, save the lower layers for if you are planning on doing, like, a full campaign run where, you know, you could have that being a way into, like, what is it? The Labyrinth of Amala? So you can use that as an example of a way to get there one way. But, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, transmission zones. Transmission zones are where the Magatsuhi is connected or is concentrated the thinnest within the Amala network. Okay. And it's from these spots that one can communicate with the outside. If one of the following conditions is needed for it to work. You can communicate with someone who is operating the terminal from the network, however, because the communication itself causes the transmission zone to become unstable, it's only possible for about 10 minutes after the connection is established. Afterward, the transmission zone dissipates, and you would need to find another one. You can also additionally call out the random terminals. If someone is operating that terminal, they might respond to your voice. If someone is hostile, they may send enemies to you. In any case, it is likely you'll be dealing with demons. As for what sort of demons that would be, the GM might want to have and be relevant to the scenario. If not, it's completely fine to choose the demons common in the Amala network. Okay. Network rumors. The demon dealer. Okay. Sometimes you can hear a certain rumor that deep within the Amala network, you may find a dealer selling demon cards. They'll sell you whatever demon card you like, but it is said that the price is nearly extortive. equal to raising a demon's level to that level all on your own. Some people suggest there are multiple dealers, and each one deals in specific clans of demon. That is pretty useful. Okay. And here we have our level range and our other valid information. So, from what I remember, GP is like, I think, what is it? Like I think it's a general something, or it's basically your, what's the word? Your CR, your challenge rating. So GP, let's just call that like recommended level. We have the upper level, which is level 20s, and you have all the elemental guys. You have Mario and Chorazon and Spectre. Then the lower levels, we have all the elementals again, the same guys from before. Oh, we also have the Mitamas and a new boss, well, 2 new bosses. Let's see, it's been a while since you looked at someone else's code, and dude, all the folders are insane. Really now? You know, it's funny. It kind of reminds me of like, have you ever seen like any of those posts when dudes would like look through like old Valve code for like Half-Life or Team Fortress 2 or one of those old Valve games, and like the coder notes or like the comments on some of the files were so funny because they'd be like, this shit doesn't fucking work. I don't know why it doesn't fucking work. Or something ridiculous. Like, you would just have like excessive swearing and like all this other ridiculous stuff. So, go figure. Hey, what's up, Cruiseneck? How you doing? We're chilling. Let's see. All right. Well, actually, it's funny that I brought up the Labyrinth of Amala, because I guess now we're actually going to read about it. All right, Labyrinth of Amala. It is said that there is a place even deeper below the Amala network called the Labyrinth of Amala. Someday, the tale of a terrible demons that are bound there shall be told. Working on some character tokens. Nice. Let's see. Never knew that, but as a programmer, you can see that. Yeah, if anything, Leaf, you could probably look that up. It's really funny. I think there's a video called, it's like, what was it? Are Valve coders okay? Or something like that, where they like compile like all the screenshots of like the coders' comments, and it's really funny. Some of it can be really ridiculous. Oh, man. Okay, well, now we've got our first region, and it's funny because this is the region where the game starts. I guess we're going in order of the gameplay here. So we have the Shinjuku Shibuya region, which you start off from the medical center in the top right, and you go through Shinjuku West, Yoyogi, Hatsudai, Yoyogi, and to Kamizo no Chi, and Harajuku, and all these other areas. Ooh, interesting track. This one's not bad. You know, it's funny that before you brought up working on like character tokens. So, okay, I do have a little bit of a confession here, Cruiseneck. So, while I've been working on the Half-Life video, I've been talking with Kyle on the side, and we've been thinking, probably when we finish playing through Eternal Punishment, we might do like a 2-parter video where we do a video talking about Innocent Sin, and then the next one we would do like maybe a video talking about Eternal Punishment, you know, to wrap up the 2 of those. But it's funny, I'm saying that, it's like, I've got like a long list of like other things. But basically, once the Half-Life video is done, I'm going to try to be a little bit better when it comes to, like, making videos, because the biggest issue that I have is the reason why the Half-Life video is taking so long was a lot of it was kind of done off the top of my head, which now is someone that I've sat down and really got to, you know, understand working on projects and stuff. Ugh, don't do that. Unless if you're going to do it, keep it short. It can be kind of tricky when you're working on, like, a bigger project and you're not that organized. I've definitely learned my lesson on that, and I've learned, hey, use some of the skills when you're, you know, doing D&D and planning ahead. Because I can tell you right now, writing a script is a good idea. Or at least, like, in a list of planning out what should happen where. So, let's see. The Shinjuku region is compared to other regions, it's much more open. From the old Tokyo that remains in this region, from the old Tokyo, what remains in this region stretches from eastern Shinjuku, past Yoyogi, down through Shibuya, apart from to Shinjuku Natural Garden and the Yoyogi Park. See, the region is entirely desert, as a region abandoned by both the Assembly of Nihilo and the Mantra Army. It's rare to see Monokins outside of Shibuya. Huh. Good to know. Okay, so first area, we've got Shinjuku. It's interesting because Shinjuku itself was not a location you can go into. It was just a location that you sort of walked through on the world map. So I guess if you really wanted to, you could make it a little bit of a new location for your players to explore, because why not, right? I mean, in a tabletop setting, that is the freedom that we do have. We can just create like a little bit more of a location to go around. Maybe you can turn one of the buildings into a dungeon. Maybe this could be like the first civilized, quote unquote, location that the players can reach. You know what I mean? So that's something you can keep in mind. Okay, so Shinjuku's been torn up in strange ways, while the 3rd district area with the subway station at its heart remains. The area around the Alta building has sunk to the bottom of the void, and Kabukicho now resides in Ikebukuro instead. You have a problem of writing a script and go, damn, that's a nice script, I can't wait to say it in front of my players, then proceed to not practice it at all until you actually have to say it. Dude, okay, I have a confession. So within my first campaign I ever ran, I fucked up. So I had a situation where the players met the rebels, of an empire, and they were giving a rallying speech to like a bunch of like bandits and criminals hiding in a sewer system to get them to join their side. I did not have the speech ready off the top of my head. You should look, if you're gonna have to do a speech, write one ahead of time, please, 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 please. Do not do what I did, where I embarrassed myself and had to write a speech off the top of my head, and it was a bad speech, and it felt so embarrassing because my friends sat there. We sat there for like 30 minutes, and they're like, so, what's going on? I'm like, look, I'm just going to talk it out. I typed up a whole little speech, and then did it. Yeah, and practice it. Exactly, practice it. Look, as someone that I have taken a public speaking course before, I can definitely tell you, you're never going to get it right. I mean, look, how many times have I failed to, like, read words on a page here with you guys? I mean, but hey, look, that's the name of the game. You're allowed to practice. And on top of that, you have the paper in front of you, so don't worry about it, okay? Look, little advice from me to you, okay? It's totally okay. You can practice. You can do stuff like that. There's no shame. And if your friends get pissed at you, well, then screw them. Simple enough. That's just what it is. Let's see. What else do we have here? Okay, let's see. What other locations? We've got the Shinjuku Medical Center. Yep. Good old Shinjuku Medical Center. Basically the first dungeon that we could kind of run for that one shot that I'm working on. So, in this case, once used as the headquarters by the Ring of Gaia, it is now used by human survivors who, by chance, were there during the conception. However, despite surviving, the fallen demon Fornius now maintains a barrier over the building, so until he's defeated, those survivors cannot leave. The medical center's basement, within the medical center's basement, there is also a terminal. There are souls who can initially provide healing, but once Fornius is dealt with, they get eaten up by wild predators. Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, and again, I do like that it lists. So GP, I don't remember what GP was. I think it was listed earlier somewhere. But basically recommended level 7. The common demons. I do like that this lists all of these demons here, so we can just go back up through the DB basically and find what demons we want to use for running encounters here. Or, you know, just generally stuff. What will the player find as we go through the area, you know? That's kind of the important part. Let's see, what else do we got? Okay, the Shinjuku 3rd District. Let's see, this area is what remains of Shinjuku around the Shinjuku Medical Center. Flocks of Zen fly here, looking above or looking around for things crawling out of the ruins to prey upon. You know, it's funny, that makes sense because of all the times that's like the first random encounter you would always run into when you would step outside and like go out into the Vortex World. You just immediately get jumped by like what, like 4 or 5 Zen or something like that. Super annoying. Let's see. The Shinjuku National Garden, third district beyond the gardens, has fallen into the void. While the gardens are now barely resembling what it was in the past, some greenery still remains. Under the shade of its trees, a certain foul and haunt demon, chiefly Mauro, my bad, and Preta have formed a tribe. Okay. Let's see. Shinjuku Station South. Let's see. While Shinjuku Station remains, the portion near the Alta building has disappeared, falling into the void. The only way to cross over is the southbound overpass. Entrance into the tunnels beneath exist, but blobs and slimes make it their home, making it somewhat dangerous. Okay, well that's another interesting thing. You could use this as like a way to like make another dungeon so your players could come back to. Also, good thing to know. Okay, so recommended level above ground is 6, but the recommended level to go into the dungeon is 16. Okay, I do like that because that does give some incentive for you to say, hey, maybe when your players reach Shinjuku in full, or not Shinjuku, when they reach Shibuya in full, they can maybe get a side quest to go back. And maybe you can make a quest for them where they can go back, go through these tunnels and, you know, figure it out. That's cool. Let's see. Oh, you're ripping these game files and they think they're organized by the MMO updates. The problem is they're all called CMF file that has the art and music and dialogue all in the same folder. Oh no. You would think they would sort of have that separated, but I guess not, right? Let's see. West Shinjuku. Once the second heart of all Shinjuku, now all that remains of it are the high-rise apartment buildings entirely devoid of people, and what was once Shinjuku Park is now buried in the sand dunes. It's said that a witch dwells in the government building, but no one has ever decided to see if it was true or not. Okay. Oh, this is more of your Necromancer class you were working on. Animate Legion, starting at 5th level, you can animate dead, can also create undead versions of beasts and monstrosities with CR rating determined. Let's see, it's treated as 1/4. You cast Animate Dead to recreate humans. You can also target 1 additional corpse file. Huh. Yeah, no, that sounds good to me. Like, I think that's just a better way to do Animate Dead, because Animate Dead, dude, I don't know. You know, I was looking into it after you brought it up the other night, Kruznik. And yeah, thinking about it now, when we made that Necromancer on stream, man, Animate Dead kind of sucks in 5e. It's not as good. See, if your ass had to try and remember all the game assets and everything was... Oh my god, you... yeah, that I would be the same boat too. I'm gonna be real with you. Look, that's why, like... Oh my god, okay, a little behind the scenes on this for me. Like, when I'm working on stuff for, like, creating thumbnails and all that stuff, dude, I have, like, multiple folders. Like, it's funny, for all the different variations of Kyle that we've seen, like, him as Barney from Half-Life, or the Ancient Aliens guy, I have, like, a whole folder of just different versions of Kyle that I've used on stream. And then, like, now that I have my new model, obviously, I've had to, like, set up a whole folder with like a bunch of snapshots of myself so I could use for thumbnails, and oh my god, I would go crazy if I just put it all in one folder. That would be such a pain. Also, it's even funnier because that reminds me, it's like when I'm working on a D&D campaign, I have like my D&D folder where I have like all the different things broken out by like what game I'm playing, whole variety of information. But, oh, what is this? Ooh. Okay, alright, listen to a little bit of ratio. You know what? Hold on, let's switch up the music real quick. Let's get a little bit of Nocturne in here. Yeah, we'll just throw this on. Have this going on in the background. Let's see, necromancers in D&D don't really get to do anything until level 5. Level 6 is when they actually get undead stuff. Oh, okay, fair enough. Yep. Like, it's not like old D&D, where old D&D is like, you want to be a necromancer? We got you, bro. High five me. All right. We have Yoyogi. Let's see, Yoyogi Hatsudai. Let's see, the area around what was Yoyogi's station has fallen into the void. No trace remains. Let's see, the Yoyogi area has become a desert wasteland, along with the neighboring Hatsudai area, containing nothing to see. From time to time, the Assembly of Nihilo sends Makatsuki hunters here. They're usually packs of slime led by Lilim. Okay. And Yoyogi Park. Let's see, prior to the conception, the Ring of Gaia constructed a radio tower here, which served as one of the main points in bringing about the conception. Even now, the Vortex World has come to be. The remains of the construction of the tower can be seen here. Meanwhile, the fairies have made the park into a free city, ruled over by the King of Fairies. Officially, Yoyogi Park is registered as Yoyogi Kami Zonuchi, or Zonochio. Okay. Wow. That's a mouthful. The audio files take so much longer for Windows to load. Oh no. Like, is it because of the file type? Like, could you not change the file type on them? Maybe like an AVI file or something? Unless it's all like the same thing. Maybe I'm misinterpreting. Okay, West Grounds. The western grounds of Yoyogi Park is accessible from both Shibuya and Shinjuku. It looks about the same as it did, save that there aren't any humans anymore. And the pixies dance freely. Here. Wow, that's a page cut. Let's see. The path to the center of the park is decidedly closed off and guarded by a troll. To enter the center of the park, you must either be of the fairy clan or have a connection with them. At the western entrance of the grounds, there's a fountain of life. At the western entrance of the grounds, there's a fountain of life, as well as a single incubus who stuck into the area, lured by the rumors of the Lady of the Fount. There are no threats present. Yep. That is the bright side. There shouldn't really be encounters. Well, technically, I think in the game, you can just still run into, like, pixies, but that's okay. You probably don't need to run any encounters in that small area, because that should be, like, a resting spot. Now, yeah, this is the real deal part of it, the Yoyogi Park Central. This is something that you could probably worry about later in the game, if you're running, like, the full Nocturne-esque campaign. This would be for, like, when you come back and you deal with things like Sakahagi and all that. Let's see. The radio tower remains here in the park's central area, which now serves as a hideaway for the fairy clan. Ruled by Titania and Oberon, the fairies have no interest in anything outside of the park and have no desire at all to participate in the battle over reason. At the very heart of the park hides the Yahiro no Himoragi, protected by the fairy Setanta. Wow. Big words. Just to basically say, if the players wanted to make their own reason, this is where you find that object. Then again, I think that's basically what happened in the game anyways. And that's why Sakahagi was there anyways, too. Anyways. Oh, it's just Windows' ability to see inside the folder. Oh, yeah. It's probably because it's, like, super, like, condensed, isn't it? Or packed. I don't know. Okay. Let's see. So if the players were to just sort of get here regularly, normal thing that they would sort of encounter: pixies, Jack Frost, High Pixie, Jack Lantern, Kelpie, Troll, and we have Sesenta, or Satana, Oberon, and Titania. Let's see. After the restoration of Asakusa, the home of the fairies is taken over by Sakahagi, who turns into a twisted labyrinth. Who turns it into a twisted labyrinth afflicted by the madness of Kirimakala. Right. Look, it's funny. I remember talking about, I talked about this like a long time ago with Kyle. I think it was back when we were playing Nocturne itself. But it's funny. For as twisted and as cruel the world of Nocturne is, the thing to me that is the scariest thing in the game is Sakahagi. Because he's just, like, in a world where there's just tons of demons, the scariest guy in the game is a serial killer. Like, he's just actually insane. And it's very terrifying when you run into him each time. So, it's, well, look, combat-wise, well, you kind of could deal with him, but you sort of get the point I'm saying. He's supposed to be a menacing person, and I think that's kind of the point. And I think you can do a good job of portraying that in a TTRPG. Because if the player characters see him and know he means business, that should be the case. It should be, oh shit, it's that guy. Because in a world where, demons are everywhere, how do you make someone who's supposed to be basically a human scary? Well, they made him a serial killer and basically show that he's just as bad as the demons, if not, maybe a little bit more fucked up. And I think that works, I think that makes it a lot more of an interesting breakdown of a character. And he does have a stat block too, so there you go. It's quoted to have learned while working at a bar, the scariest monsters look human. Exactly. Yep. That's a good way to say it. Okay. What else we got here? We have Harajuku. Or Harajuku. Let's see. The area to the east of the Yogi Park was once a place for the young and now has nearly all been destroyed, with just the area in front of the station remaining. Even the streets having disappeared, very few demons can be found here, with the worst ones expecting to be a Kelpie that strayed out of the Yogi. Okay. It looks like the level has gone up a bit, so now we're at like level 20. Well, don't look, we're just ignoring the whole Yogi Park Central thing, because again, all that's like for a high level portion of the campaign for much later in the story. Okay. Not bad, not bad. What else? Guy and Mai. Wasteland beyond the Yogi Park, and it's connected with Asakusa via the Asakusa Tunnel. However, the tunnel is quite dangerous and overrun with Oni. Oh, we'll worry about that tunnel later, okay? Interesting. It does have a level range of 20 above, but then below ground, the level range almost doubles. Interesting. I mean, look, I've got a bit of a mixed opinion when it comes to, like, the difficulty spiking, but again, if we're running like a Nocturne campaign or like, say, well, obviously we're talking about that, but you know what I mean? If we're sticking true to the source material, there are kind of level jumps. I still think it's very interesting though, because most tabletop games only stop at like around maybe level 20. And that's if you ever get to level 20. If you're playing in a TTRPG, like say we're playing D&D, you're probably only going to get to maybe, I would say you would start either level 1 or level 4, maybe level 3, and then you would get at most maybe level 10 or a little bit higher. You know what I mean? So it's stuff like that where I'm like, I don't know. It's a little bit tricky, but it's very interesting because in this game you can just kind of keep going. You go very high level in this campaign. Like hell, the last area, like the central of the park to go and fight like Sakahagi, it says level 60 recommended, so just keep that in mind. Let's see, Jingu Gaien. Some of the trees in this area were once famous, or that the area was once famous for rain today, and now it serves off as a secluded area for some gods of Yamato. Interesting. Oh, I see. You get Kirihime and Takemikazuchi. You also have Nue. Oh, okay. So yeah, I see. These are like the more like older traditional type of gods you would see. Okay. South Aoyama. Much of this is, much of this high society street has fallen into the void. The center fashion has been left in ruins, and what remains is a shore of chaos and wandering blobs. Human cultural items have been found here from time to time, so Modikins like to loiter around here. Okay. And Shibuya. So Shibuya would be like, just like in the game, Shibuya would be like the first major settlement that the player can get to. So, like, let me say, if we're running our one-shot, where we're doing our preload campaign, we do the start, we have the players go and visit, what's his name? Oh my god. We have them go to the Shinjuku Medical Center, and they survived a conception there. Ideally, we would want to slowly funnel our players down towards Shibuya here, because that would be sort of like their hub to sort of get them a place to get started, you know what I mean? And we can give them side quests there, or just let them sort of explore around from there. Then from there, we can have them start moving around to different locations, because let's be real. We kind of need them to, one, level up, obviously, but also get a little bit more acquainted with their new setting. You know what I mean? Okay, well, Shibuya remains largely intact, at least from the Hachiko Station entrance to the Shibuya Center Guy, making it the largest inhabitable area in the region. The fallen Dekarabia, dispatched from the Assembly of Nihilo, rules over Shibuya. However, together with his best friend Fornius, the two strive to keep their territories independent. Okay. Really? I forgot. Wait a minute. No, I knew Dekarabia was there because in the game he had this dialogue where he was talking about his best friend Fornius. The problem, or well, the thing that I think is kind of funny is he was with the Assembly of Nihilo? Really? Okay. Let's see. Because of that, Shibuya is now completely a free city, and all kinds of demons have poured in to live here. Even Monokins are seen here, gathering cultural relics dug up from the surrounding areas, bringing them here to trade. Shibuya plays a host to a junk shop, a Cathedral of Shadows, the Amala Network, a Fountain of Life, and this is also where the Disco Club, the Disco Inferno, can be found. Okay. And it's like level 10 to be here, and regular enemies that the players would have encountered by now. And Dekarabia if you really wanted to fight him, although don't have to, but, you know, it's always good to have a note for that because you never know. Someone might get angry and try to do something stupid. And the junk shop. The shop is ran by Mr. Hiho, Jack Frost. I like that they have his little piece of art here. Wow, this art is hella old now that I'm thinking about it. Very old Jack Frost. Okay, so basic stuff that you would see, except now there are guns. So we've got some Magatamas, which are basically going to be the money dump. We've got bullets and guns, as well as combat armor and more weaponry for humans. So this is good because this is going to be the way a lot of our characters that are non-demon are going to sort of keep up. Like the Magatamas and stuff, that's normal. That's to be expected because that was kind of what was in the game already. But now we also have to account for the fact that there are humans. And we also need to account for the fact that, well, there are also demon player characters. Now, this is going to be kind of interesting, or something I was thinking about. So the book already mentioned that in order to sort of form a reason, you needed to be human. This could be interesting because you could even make it a plot point and say, well, maybe there are some people who are trying to look for humans to use them as sort of the vessel for their reason. Now, you could do that. But also, hold on, let me just switch the track here. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there we go. That's the one we want. But yeah, like I was saying, I think you can make it an interesting plot point where you can maybe say there are humans that are pretending to be Monokins just so that they're avoiding getting captured by demons. Because in a world where demons are trying to fight for reason, and especially with how the campaign can be set up in a long-term sense, that could be a plot point. Maybe the humans are trying, maybe there are some other human survivors, and maybe they're living amongst the Monokin to try and hide the fact that they are human. Because as we read before, most of the demons can identify a Monokin and just ignore it. They just ignore them. So we can use that as like a bit of a plot point. Maybe when you go to like the Monokin settlement, you can sort of work out some sort of interesting negotiation, maybe something interesting back and forth that way. But go figure. There you go. A little bit of a idea that I had. Okay, let's keep on going. We got the Disco Inferno. Let's see, a disco where demons hang out. Lots of demons who get wild or overstimulated here run wild. So some caution is advised. In particular, a certain Nekomata frequents this disco, one filled with cruelty and a craving for blood. That's true. Interesting. She's level 20. Okay. So we could probably use that as like a little mini boss if the players wanted to try to interact with her. She might freak out at them. Okay, the 109. Ooh, okay, that's interesting. The sorcerers who survived the conception now lurk in the basement of the 109 building, working alongside Baphomet to summon a certain demon. Normally no one will be present, but if the basement is entered while the Kakatsuchi is full, Baphomet will attempt to summon the tyrant. Said tyrant, Mara, is only able to be summoned after Takao Yuko makes contact with the god Aradia at the top of the obelisk. Okay, All right, that's interesting. We can use that as like another little bit of a returning plot point. Ibisu to the south of Shibuya has almost entirely been swallowed by the sand. The Ibisu garden place is no more, with only some of the buildings around the station remaining. Monakins who are in search for human cultural relics can be seen in this area. You know, it's interesting though. You could, hell, honestly, considering how they keep on bringing this up as a point. If you have a human, if you have a human player that they could be incognito as a Monakin, you could basically have them going around trying to gather relics. Now, it's interesting because, look, now we could bring in a little bit of extra stuff. We could bring in stuff from like things like SMT4, where the player in that game, you go around and gather relics, and that could be a way for you to make some extra Maka. Not just from a combat encounter, but you're still finding relics of the old world, and that can still work. You know, a little bit of extra stuff you can think of. It's sometimes, look, it's the little things that count. You have to come up with some cool ideas. Okay. The said Monakins have made a home out of the half-buried Ibisu station. They store relics they've dug up there, and occasionally, an angel or a Lilim from the Assembly of Nihilo will show up to try and steal some of what the Monakins have dug up. Let's see, somewhere in this area, there's said to be a Japanese self-defense force, so JSDF, research lab. The exact location is unknown. Most believe that if it did exist, it's likely lost to the sand by now. Let's see, and our demons for the area. Wow, typo. Uh-oh. Missing an L. Let's see, we have Lilim, Angel, and an Archangel. Okay. And that is the Shibuya region. That's not bad. All right, next one we got. The Ginza Yurakucho region. All right, okay. Oh my god, it's the Rainbow Bridge. Let's see, we have Shibara, Theodome, Ginza, Tsukiji. Oh my god, I'm thinking like Tsukiji Konjugi. Oh man, okay. Oh wow, this is like super scuffed. I can't even read that. It's like burnt out of the book. Oh no. Interesting. Oh, okay, it's just written down here. This once coastal region has been left relatively whole, with even its roads and bridges intact. The Assembly of Nihilo keeps their headquarters here, and the entire region is under their control. When the Mantra Army assaults the Assembly's HQ, the region temporarily falls into disorder. Then once the Mantra Army is destroyed, everything is returned to as it was. Uniquely, the region is only one The region is the only one with part of the former ocean. Interesting. But the thing is, I don't remember, is the ocean like actually the ocean, or is it the Shadow Sea? Because I would assume you don't want to go swimming in that at all. If we're going based off of how this world is. I don't think that's safe, to say the least. Let's keep on going. Oh, actually, okay, so we've got over here, we got Ginza. Let's see. The Harumi Warehouse. The Yurakucho Tunnel. Okay, right, that's how you would get there. Let's see, the Assembly, which has two entrances. The Assembly HQ, and then the main HQ. Okay. Mia, it's totally fine. Yeah, of course. It's like, let me just drink some water. Remember, stay hydrated, everybody. Okay. We've got the Assembly HQ. The Assembly of Nihilo is an organization under the command of one of the Ring of Gaia's leaders, Hikawa. Let's see, with this nightmare system... Dude, not the fucking nightmare system, bro. The Assembly collects Magatsuhi, so it's about to bring about the reason of Shijima. Let's see, the forces of the Assembly include many divine, fallen, knight, and brute clan demons. Theodome. This area contains the main entrance to the Assembly of Nihilo's HQ. Divine demons stand attentively at the guard both outside and inside, making it rather difficult for outsiders to sneak in. The Nightmare System, an experimental harvesting machine. But like, how? How does it work? I guess we make that up, right? It's kept here. Its only purpose is being to gather and store Magatsuhi. The Mantra Army eventually will be lured here to destroy a fake of... Really? Wait. Oh, right. Yeah. I forgot. Okay. Sure. Let's see, the Mantra Army will be eventually lured here to destroy a fake of this system. The real Nightmare System lies near the secondary entrance. Okay. Shinabashi. This area is the second entrance to the Assembly's entrance. It can access... Yeah, okay. It's a hidden route through the Shio Dome. It is the true heart of the HQ. And within it can be found the Nightmare System and the Magatsuhi storage. Again, remember when we talked about making your own reason, or if the players wanted to sort of make their own ending? This would sort of be the way they do it. They would definitely want to try to take over this area because, well, obviously, they get their own area. But if I remember, the book specifically states like it gives them a lot of like Magatsuhi that they can add to their total. I know, lots of ridiculous number stuff, but things to note if you're the DM, because you're going to want to say, okay, well, if the players want to form their own reason, how would we go about that? And the book did do a good job of providing how, if the players wanted to create their own ending in their own sense, there is a way they can do it. They have the resources available. It's just, well, a little bit tricky and not very explanatory. Okay. Right. To enter into the heart of the building where the Nightmare System is, one must gather the 3 killis... Or, English, sorry. Oh, sorry, I think I have to sneeze. Ugh. Okay, sorry. We're good. I'm alive. Let's see. The 3 killer stakes hidden throughout the Magatsuhi storage area. Around the time of Asakusa's revival, the bulk of the Assembly's forces have moved to the obelisk and Marunochi. Yeah, Marunochi, okay. The 15th sub-level of this base then extends as a path to the obelisk. Wow. Okay. Interesting. Wow, the levels on this are kind of crazy. And Shiba. And I think Shiba's like right over here. Yep. With Tokyo Towers. Tokyo Towers escaped the destruction and now serves as a gathering spot for divine demons. Oh, okay. Really? That's just it? Okay. Let's see. Shibaru. As one of the endpoints of the Rainbow Bridge, this area serves as a gateway to Ginza. The famous bridge is now the only thing that serves as a reminder of what the old Bay area looked like, as this area now connects to the Assembly of Nihilo's secondary entrance and is heavily guarded by the Divines on the beach. One can expect to find Fornius and Isora. Okay. And Ginza, which, you know what? Hold on. Let me, we're going to switch music track. Let's go to the Ginza track because this track is like one of my favorite. Or not this one, actually. I think it's Ikebukuro was like my favorite track, but we'll get there. May as well listen to the classic banger. Okay. Ginza. Ginza is currently under the Assembly's control, and it is kept watch over by the fallen Eligor. Even so, it is a relatively independent place. The city is populated by a good many fairy, fallen, and divine demons, and on top of having an Amala Network terminal, a Cathedral of Shadow, a Fountain of Life, and it has a Rags Jewelry and a Nix's Lounge. Okay, so Rags Jewelry, it's funny that Rags is still around. Sort of. Actually, now that I think about it, it's like he's not in SMT4. No. Rags isn't in SMT4. I don't think he's even in... No, he's not in 5. Because the shop owner, Gustav, is there. Interesting. Let's see, in Nix's Lounge, which is interesting because this is like a roleplay location, but we can use it because there are other things to it, like this. Yep. A bar ran by the Queen of the Night, Nyx. Loki is a regular customer of her. Nyx knows a lot about a lot, and likes to encourage young demons. As the bar has both Nyx and Loki in attendance, it is very unlikely that a fight will break out. Out back, Loki has a private room where he keeps his collection of human relics. The room is guarded by a troll. Yep, there are 3 bosses in here. In game, actually, you never fight Nyx, but it is kind of interesting seeing that. Well, the book has it listed here. If you were going to, I wouldn't recommend it. I would say the players could use this as a way of like gathering information, because again, this is a powerful person. You're not gonna like fight. Yeah, I like that. GP NA, take it outside. Yep, she doesn't want any fighting at her bar. They just tell you to go outside and throw down there. Okay, Tsukiji, the Bay Area that borders Ginza on the west and south. Nearly everything in this area is gone now, save for the Higurashi Honganji temple. Interesting, okay. Generally, the most you'll see of this area are patrol teams of angels. The Tsukiji also contains the sole bridge leading to the Tokyo Bay land reclamation areas. The Tsukishima, Kiba, and Toyosu. No buildings remain, standing on the reclaimed land areas, making them strangely flat and desolate places. Isora prowl the beaches while Formians stalk the land. Okay. Harumi. Now decaying warehouse district. The great underpass of Ginza can be accessed through here heading towards Ikebukuro. Above the ground, ruins are stalked by the Haunt Clan demons, and this area serves as another endpoint for the Rainbow Bridge, connecting to Shibado and Divine Demons patrol the bridge. You know, it's funny. I know that the book doesn't mention the fiends in here, but or maybe it will. Maybe it will, because I'm thinking you could put in your own encounter of just, hey, if you still wanted to run like truly a Nocturne type campaign, you totally could run an encounter to like fight the fiends. I mean, we already talked about that, where it's like, I think we mentioned before, or I think Kruznik, you looked into it to see which fiends were in the book. I'm gonna be honest, since this game is actually pretty closely tied to like how the games actually work, I would say you could probably even pull up their stat blocks on like the wiki of like what was their stat block in game and just sort of correlate it back and forth, and you could probably recreate your own demon in here very easily. You just need to maybe make a little bit of modifications for like HP and stuff like that, but overall, I think the stats should be pretty self-explanatory, and maybe like double check some of the moves to make sure that they're valid for the system. But overall, definitely think it works. Definitely think it works. Yeah, because over here is where we would have the first encounter in the tunnels here, because that's where you would fight Matador, etc. So, interesting. Okay. Let's see. The Great Underpass of Ginza. Deep in the underpass of Ginza, a colony of mannequins who have escaped captivity. Let's see. Okay. They play host to the Amala Network Terminal and a Cathedral of Shadows, a fountain, and also a junk shop. The collector mannequin, whose immense interest in the humans has driven him to form a collection of old human relics, also lives here. The underpass also plays a host to a number of foul demons who favor its darkness within the waterways. Isora can often be spotted here, and what mannequins fear the most, however, is being invaded by the Mantra army of demons from Ikebukuro. Let's see. Definitely create an interacting clan with all bug type demons. Yeah, for real, dude. I mean, like, that's the best part. You totally can, and the book actually supports it from what it seems like. Which I think we're going to take a look at the back of the book. Well, we're getting there. After we finish reading through like the locations and stuff, we've got to look at wow, hold up, banger alert, my favorite song. After we finish reading through like the locations, obviously we're going to look at the GM section, where the GM section's interesting because not only does it go over like some of the rulings, it also has some scenarios we can look at where it's like if you wanted to run a vertical slice of the game, it does have some pre-written scenarios. That will be fun to take a look at. But, you know, we'll see. Okay. The junk shop ran by a flamboyant mannequin from the underpass colony. Let's see. Arakane. The oddity of the internal exhibition center, once called Mecca of Subculture, remains in this area, although it is now home to succubi, and all sorts of human relics can be found in this place, and many of them are particularly strange or outright unknown, so the succubus leave them out as bait. Interesting. And Daiba. This area, which was once prompted the development of Odaiba Island after a certain TV station moved here, is now no more than a desert or a deserted bit of land with the Rainbow Bridge passing overhead. The TV station, which was once the pride of the area, is now haunts taking up the residents within it. There are also rumors of a certain deity lurking in here as well. Interesting. You have Archangel and Bobby Koth. See the warehouses there. Okay. See Yurakucho. Oh my god, look at this big guy. Let's see. The business center in this area that used to be here is now gone without a trace. Instead, this area contains Yurakucho Tunnel, which leads to the Sano Nagatacho region. Nagatacho. Okay. Sano Nagatacho region. This tunnel ensures a path to the Diet Building, which is being already prepped by the Assembly of Nihilo for summoning of their sponsor god. Near the tunnel, Akaiwan leads a group of Shikigami making preparations. Particularly within the tunnel, a soul named Shige searches for buried gold. Though he asks for the assistance of passing by demons, these demons of the Assembly of Nihilo aren't particularly keen on helping. Okay, yep, and then we have Kaiwan and Shikiuji. See, after the Yahiro no Himaragi is discovered, rumors that Hikawa has revived Shijima at the Diet Building begin to surface, leading many demons streaming through the Yurakucho tunnel to return to that reason. Demon Cerberus and Dominion keep watch over the stream of demons. Interesting. So I have Cerberus, Dominion, and Throne, and then you have other demons. Okay. Let's switch up track again. Ooh, good banger. I like this version of the battle theme more, to be honest. Okay. Ikebukuro, or the Ikebukuro Kabukicho region. I love this track, it's so good. Interesting. Okay. I see. So the wastelands are a little bit different. Oh, it's just like a level 15 area. Okay. Well, we've got a lot of places on here. Otsuka, East Ikebukuro, Meijiro, Zoshigaya, Takanda Dan Obada, or Obaba? Big name, I'm sorry. Waseda, Kagura Zaka, Ichigaya, Toyama, Kabukicho, Okubo. Okay. Not bad. You know, it's funny, now I'm thinking about it. When I went on my trip to Japan, I think we were not too far off of like where we stayed at. It was like an Airbnb somewhere out there. I think we were somewhere in like Ueno or like Taito City. It was cool. We got to go see the Tokyo Skytree. The Skytree was very nice. Little bits of random lore drops from me. Look, man, definitely would recommend a trip to Japan at least once. It's a cool place to go. Very interesting. Like, Tokyo itself is very interesting, but check out some of the other places. Like, I went to Osaka as well, and Osaka was very nice. If I do go again, it's like I want to go either back to Osaka. I do want to take another look around Tokyo again, because when we were there, like the jet lag hit really hard. So that was sort of something you had to deal with. But after you get past that, you can have a really good time. I do want to either go check out some more of the islands, like on the southern side or like the southwest from Tokyo is where you usually land in. But at the same time, I do also want to check out like the northern region, but I'm not sure how that goes. I'd have to look it up. But I do think I would want to check out places like, I think it's like what, Hokkaido, Sapporo, and a couple other places out there. I do want to go to, oh my goodness, what's the name of that place? Kyoto, because it's funny, when I went with my friends, I actually got sick that day. Correction, no. I think I had a hangover or something happened where I just could not get up. I was just feeling so sick the next day. So I had to skip going to good old Kyoto. Okay. Well, let me switch the track a bit. Let's get something more in a vibe. Yeah, there we go. Okay, region info. Due to the sharp cliffs throughout this region, it's split into two. The environs around Ikebukuro, and then the Waseda, and then the Waseda to Kabukicho areas, which are covered in toxic miasma. While the region is under the Mantra Army control, the Divine Assembly, I've read that backwards. The Assembly's divine demons have infiltrated the desert wasteland areas, putting the Mantra Army activities into check. Okay. Oh boy, here's the part where I have to read more wacky names. Okay. Zoshigaya. The Zoshigaya Cemetery is still here and serves as an exit point for the underground pass of Ginza. Within the cemetery itself, the corpses of mannequins who have been wrung dry at Magatsuhi by the army are littered about, decaying into the mud that they were made from. Oof, that's unfortunate. Okay. We have Meijiro. Meijiro, south of Ikebukuro, is utterly destroyed now, and there are signs of life within it. The biggest of these are the Mantra Army patrols on lookout for escaped mannequins. The Takada hold on. The Takada no Baba. Something like that? I'm sorry. This former student neighborhood is now ruined with barely any of the buildings around the station remaining. Rumors persist of human survivors holed up in the big box shopping mall, but no one seems to know for certain. This area is strategically unimportant for the Mantra Army, and the Assembly of Nihilo have abandoned it, so there are a few demons there. Okay, another good potential for another pit stop for the players, because it can be another interesting location to sort of use. You can even give it its own shop or whatever, or at least maybe make it have some scenario relevant characters. You know, I'm sure you could come up with stuff. You're a smart cookie. Okay, we have Ikebukuro itself, the stronghold of the Mantra Army. Sunshine 60 skyscraper serves as the mannequins. Oh, not the mannequins. The Mantra Army's headquarters itself. The city is divided into the West Hall, the East Hall, and the main building, with the skyscraper located in the main hall. Let's see the West Hall. The lower West Hall of Ikebukuro is fashioned with a terminal. Okay, so terminal, fountain, junk shop, cathedral, and the appropriately for the stronghold of the Mantra Army, who adhere to the creed of all is strength. Let's see, demons spoiling for fights loiter in the area, so hostilities may break out at the drop of a hat, with Oni serving as a guard. They're all too glad to dole out violence whenever at times you may see a Yaksini or a Taraka sergeants in the Mantra Army moving about. Okay, so definitely have some bit of a rough time, maybe a couple of tough encounters in the hallway or something like that. Hey, what's up, Hawkins? How you doing? Don't mind me, I have to just clean my glasses real quick. That's what happens. You accidentally poke your glasses. You're trying to adjust something and you accidentally do that, and now you're the fool who has to deal with smudged glasses. In a weirdly fascinated mood. What's got you fascinated? There we go. Glasses nice and clean. There you go. That was your glasses cleaning break. You found a unique tabletop RPG? Really? What was it? Actually, you know what? Hold on. Let me switch this track. Let's see. Turnip 28? I've never heard of that. Tell me a little bit about it, because I hear that and I'm like, huh? Let's see, what would be a good track? You know what? Let's go and check out this album. I'm going to jump back over to this. It's been a while since we've heard a bit of SMT4. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Let's see, the junk shop. This junk shop is ran by a flamboyant mannequin, suitable for the Mantra army. This shop stocks a fair amount of items specialized for combat. It's basically grimdark with a Monty Python story. Okay, that sounds fun. That actually sounds really funny and like goofy. That's like just the right amount of silly that you like to see, you know? Let's see, the East Hall. Compared to the West Hall, the East Hall has largely been left in a state of disrepair, and it's more or less nothing but mannequins doing warehouse labor. Some say that the East Hall is cursed, but the soul of a monk who was killed there will appear and kill anyone who dares to trespass. I wonder what monk that is. I'm sure it's not Daisoju. It's funny, again, the book is written in a way where it does mention, you know, some of the fiends. It talks about the Labyrinth of Amala and stuff, but they're not in the book, oddly enough. But that's okay, because I'm totally going to write it in anyways, because I want my friends to fight the fiends, and it would be funny. Because look, ooh, they get to have the full experience of fighting, they get to fight Matador, you know what I mean? Let's see. Alright, we got the Mantra Army HQ. The old high-rise skyscraper, Sunshine 60, now serves as the headquarters, and Gozu Tenno, the Mantra Army's leader, resides on the highest floor of the building, from which he can be seen leading his forces through a mannequin shaman. Interesting. The entrance lies on the second floor, where normally a number of Nue stand guard, and within the second floor, you can find a gate out to the east of Ikebukuro. On the first floor, there's a prison as well as the unopenable treasure room. On the third floor is the arena where they hold trials by combat. Okay. Let's see. It takes place in Napoleon's era, where a root grew out and started corrupting the land and making an apocalypse scenario. Now people living through this muddy, decaying, dark world use old black powder guns and weapons and whatever they can find. Everyone is either malnourished or heavily mutated. Damn. Now that sounds like a crazy setting to run. Damn. You know, that's interesting. I don't think I've really seen... well, okay, I guess that's a lie. I was going to say, I don't think I've seen a post-apocalyptic medieval setting, but that is interesting. That is very cool, because like the more I'm thinking about it, it's like the only thing I guess is like regular Warhammer, like not 40k, like the fantasy. But yeah, did I finish DMC? I did finish DMC, actually. Yeah, I finally sat down and got around to watching the rest of that. It was something. I don't know how, like, okay. Sorry, Hawkins. Episode 6, the backstory episode, was fantastic. I thought that was really good. I thought it was alright. Evil Joe Biden was... that was ridiculous. I can't believe they tied it into turning it into Devil May Cry 2. Surprise. The fact that Virgil was still as Neo Angelo. I have a feeling they're going to team up to kill Mundus together. The betrayal at the very end was ridiculous, where Lady just stuck him with the needle and they put him on ice. They better give us a season 2. That's all I'm saying, because you can't just leave us off like that with the American Idiot nuking of hell. Which, by the way, I want you to know, when they started talking about the Makai and all that, I started losing my shit, because I'm like, damn, that's how you know the Mega 10 brain rot hit me hard. But I'm like, Mega 10s were like, I've really heard discussion about that, because SMT2 is literally like, you go to the world of Makai, like you go talk to the Makaians, bro. I mean, that's the second half of that game. And it's just really funny, because it's like, you know, you want to know what song's a banger from that game? 3D Makai, look that one up. But yeah, no, it was very out of nowhere that she did that. I was surprised, because it's like, wouldn't you think she would just join him on that level? Welcome back, Hawkins. But yeah, overall, it's weird, because it's like, okay, I've been seeing a lot of people like getting angry and like witch hunting on like Twitter about the show, and it's like, did I enjoy the show? Yeah, I thought it was alright. I thought it was good. I think it's like, it understands the spirit of Dante a bit, and I've been seeing people getting angry because they're like, oh my god, they didn't write Dante, they wrote Deadpool. And I'm like, dude, Dante's always been cheesy. Like, that's kind of his thing, you know? Yeah, I know, right? Exactly. Look, you know the right way to go about it. They referenced Resident Evil a couple times. Oh yeah, they referenced Resident Evil, Street Fighter. They referenced a lot of their other like IPs. Oh, hold on, let me change the song. The song's kind of whack to have right now. Hold on, I got you. You know what? Yeah, we'll listen to some Aqua La Plaza. Yeah, like overall, I liked it. I thought it was fine. Yeah, you heard the opposite. Not making Deadpool and making, more so not making him funny enough. I think he was funny enough. Like, yeah, he could have been even more funnier. Now, the thing that I know a lot of people were upset about was like them using Devil Trigger instead of like Devils Never Cry. And I thought about it and I'm like, I can understand why they did it, because to me, I would say, I think it's just a homage to the fact that it's Nero who's Dante's voice actor instead of Ruben. I think Ruben said he was done being Dante, like he's retiring, because you know he's kind of out of it. So it's just kind of strange. Like I saw that as like a reference to the fact that it's Nero who's doing the voice for Dante now, which is like basically like if Robin became Batman. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of funny hearing that, you know? So that's at least how I saw it. Like, to me, that's what that meant. But, like, you know, is what it is. I know people are just angry, to be honest. And it's like, I don't know, going after the guy and after everyone else is just kind of stupid. Let's see. Weren't too fond of the music choice. Let's see. The music and the animation was on par with Castlevania. Yeah, I'd say that. You haven't seen it because you're not a Devil May Cry fan? That's okay. I mean, it's weird because some people were angry. They're like, when does this take place in the Devil May Cry timeline? I'm like, it's its own thing. It even said it was. Like, it just literally is like, yeah, Dante's just in New York. Fuck it. The final fight takes place on the Brooklyn Bridge like we're in Steel Ball Run, bro. But, yeah, I don't know. Overall, at least in my opinion, to me, it was okay. It didn't bother me. And it's like, look, if people really want to get nitpicky about, like, Devil May Cry and it's, like, canon and all this and that, I'm like, dude, it's okay. You don't need to get worked up over it. It's supposed to be kind of corny. And they're mad. They're like, I think the number one complaint I've seen is just people being upset that Dante is, like, too much like a Deadpool character. And I'm like, my dude, have you not played the other Devil May Cry games? DMC4 made him like that. DMC5 made him like that. DMC3 made him like that. DMC2, he's kind of boring, but he still has a bit of that charm where there is a bit of a, you know, the soft-hearted devil, you know. Let's see. You see people being angry about the demons being good. Dude, who cares? Like, look, you want to know who was a good demon? Sparta. Like, what the fuck, bro? Like, he was supposed to be a good guy, you know what I mean? It's shit like that where I'm like, who cares, bro? They're like, oh, but the demons should be the bad guys. It's like, sure, you could do that. But it's like, this just makes it more interesting. I'd rather have a more interesting setting to work with than one that's very narrow and limited. Because sure, you can say, okay, all demons are bad. Yeah, but like, let me give you another example. let's take a look at what are we looking at right now. We're looking at Shin Megami Tensei. In Nocturne, not every demon's out there to say that they're bad. You know what I mean? Yeah. What you're saying is that they obviously have capacity for good. Of course. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm with you there, because it's like, look, even from what we've just read a little earlier, we talked about the fairies. The fairies do not want to be a part of any of the conflict and stuff like that. Yeah, demons can be good, but do bad things. And that's totally fine. Yeah. Look, if anything, I think that makes demons a more nuanced character, because that just goes to show you, well, no, not every demon is just a malicious creature. Sure, demon in the name implies that they are malicious and, benign, but that doesn't always have to make the case. And you can make an interesting character that is a demon. You know what I mean? I mean, that's what makes them like a lot more interesting. That'd be like saying every tiefling needs to be evil. No, that's boring. You know what I mean? I'm okay with having characters that are more interesting and a little bit more open, because that's what makes a better story. I'm going to be honest with you. Granted, look, we're arguing about semantics in like a Devil May Cry anime, which ultimately no one cares, But I think it's a point that stands, because let's relate this back to like D&D or other tabletop things. It's like, so is every drow supposed to be evil? Or is every, tiefling supposed to be a follower of Abaddon, or a follower of like, I don't know, like one of the gods like that in Pathfinder? You know what I mean? Let's see. You can understand the argument if it was like Trench Crusade, where they're literally based off that. But yeah, it's completely different. Yeah, of course. It's very different depending on the setting. The best example of demons being strictly evil and still being compelling is a Freyren. Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I think it's very interesting, because in the manga, like they talk about this, like they try and go through extreme lengths. Like, for example, what is it? The story about the, like when they first introduce it, and they really show you that even a demon that was raised by humans still ends up trying to revert back to their nature of killing things. You know what I mean? It's like, that's an interesting situation where even though people have tried the best that they can, it still has issues. And I think that makes it a more compelling and interesting topic as well. Does it mean everything should be that way? No. But you know what I mean? It's like, if you're going to try to write a story like that, at least it's interesting. Look, and I know it's crazy, because I know the whole thing with Freyren is a kind of a hot button topic that people like to argue about online, which I'm going to be honest, the arguing on Twitter and like all that place is just very stupid about this stuff. In that case, it's like, just read the source material, I guess. Yeah, even in Warhammer, demons are not straightforward. You got the evil warp-based creatures, but the Emperor of Mankind has demons under his name. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like, that's another good case, Hawkins. Like, just because something is a demon doesn't necessarily make it evil. I guess it would be how they interpret or use their powers is what makes them evil. I mean, look, we've been playing Kingmaker, but in another example I could give you is Wrath of the Righteous, who's my personal favorite romantic interest in that story, is Arushale. And Arushale is a succubus, but she's not evil. In fact, she's chaotic good. You know what I mean? So it's like, sure, you could make her evil, like if you corrupt her and, tell her to give up on her morals, but you know what I mean? It's like, that's the point. The point that I'm getting at here is you can have a demon character, or someone who technically is considered an evil species, you know what I mean? But by giving them character and giving them more nuance, makes them a lot more of an interesting thing to work with. I mean, hell, I can give you another good example. Warcraft. Who are some of my favorite characters in Warcraft? Thrall and like a lot of the Horde. Like the original Horde are very interesting because they're a group of people that were put together piece in piece. Like the orcs and the trolls teamed up together to sort of fight against humans. Then from there, it's like, why did the orc and the troll team up with the Tauren? Because the Tauren wanted help to fight against the Quillbore and like a whole bunch of other things. And over time, they're a band of misfits that came together. And then you have the case of like Sylvanas and her undead, which the only people who would accept them were the Horde. So it's interesting where you have these technically evil and evil aligned races, or, you know, species, whatever you want to call it. But they're not necessarily evil. Like Are the Tauren evil? I'm going to be real with you. The answer to that's no. They're more like lawful good, if anything. You know what I mean? And I would say orcs can be considered like the chaotic neutral, because they're like, they can be evil, they can be good. It just depends. It is a variance, you know what I mean? So there you go. There. That's my whole long-winded spiel on all that. Yeah, Taurens are more so good guys that have even worked with Night Elves are the best. Yeah, exactly. See what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, damn. Is that what we're gonna do one night? We should do like a Warcraft lore stream where it's like, I'll go around and WoW and we can like talk about some like Warcraft lore while I just like, I don't know, level a character or something. That could be fun. I would be totally down to do like a WoW stream. Since I've been getting back into it, we could just like talk Warcraft and like, you know, just go around and do some quests. Maybe I'll download Classic or something. Let's see. Did you hear about the new season of Discovery? I saw, yeah. I saw the Platinum WoW video on that where he was talking about the Scarlet Crusade. I think that'd be cool. You know, I like stuff like that. Little revisions and little adding of things. I think that's really fun. Yeah, who knows? Maybe I'll do that one day. We can do a little bit of a stream talking about that. Play some Classic. We can play some Classic, maybe play a little bit of retail. You know, you never know. He loves making Scarlet Crusade videos. Yeah, he really does. It's funny. Me and some friends sat down the other day and we were like watching a bunch of Platinum WoW videos with one of our friends that he just started playing WoW. And it was funny. We went through like his whole video series on like the trolls and he was just like, oh my god. He's like, wow, I feel so bad for the trolls. But at the same time, it's like, man, they really got eviscerated. It's like, yeah. The tragic fate of being an Amani troll. Oh, man. Okay, I went on like a really big tangent. Sorry about that. We had a good little ramble on that. So thank you for bringing that up. But let me, hold on, let me switch up the track here. And I think this one will be fine. Which track is this? Oh, that's like the Naruto track. We can go with this. Thank you. Did you know Platinum has a Warhammer track? He does? Oh, man. Damn, Hawkins, you're about to send me on a journey. I'm about to start busting out the homework and like, okay, I gotta check that out and then that out. Oh, man. Because it's like, I mean, that would be a fun way to learn some Warhammer lore. Because I only know the little bits that I learned from playing the Rogue Trader game and the little bits I learned from playing like Dawn of War or Dawn of War 2. He's using his models. Ooh, okay. That's cool, though. That's actually really fun. Remember, stay hydrated. You don't want to lose your voice here. Okay. Right. Back to where we were at. We were talking about the Mantra Army HQ. Let's see. Okay. So after the Nightmare system destroys the Mantra Army, wow, it literally kills them. Yep. Many of the strongest, Thor included, leave the area. And once the Assembly Annihilo is destroyed, Tachibana Chiaki takes over the place and establishes the reason of Yosuga here, causing many of the divine demons to convert. Okay. Let's see. Brightside, he didn't make a lot of Warhammer videos so far. Look, the asterisk is there. It's the yet part. I'm sure he will. Look, if anything, that just means there's more fun stuff for me to watch in the future. Okay. Trials by combat. The Mantra Army decides everything through strength. Even crimes are handled this way. With one's innocence or guilt determined through a battle with certain select demons, this is true even for minor crimes, such as unintentionally wandering into the Mantra HQ. There are 3 judges for these trials, and surviving all of these is difficult at best. Should one survive them, they will be treated as one who has the strength the Mantra Army desires. Those strong few are given free reign to come and go into the Mantra's headquarters. Okay. The unopenable door. See, it's more so WoW itself is asking people like him to make videos. Yeah, I think that's really cool, to be honest. I do like that. I've been seeing more and more now, like the WoW social media teams have been like reaching out to like creators to help make videos that they put on the main channel to like advertise their game and stuff like that. I think that's cool. Granted, look, I've got a little bit of like not the greatest history or like bad blood with the company because, I mean, look, at least they're trying to reform and, fix themselves. They're still problematic, but like they're getting there. Dude, their shorts are fun. Dude, okay. Unironically, their shorts were cracking me up, dude. Did you see the recent one where they did the whole morning routine of that like fitness influencer guy with the orc in Undermine? That was cracking me up, dude. That or like when you ask the goblin tech guy at your job and it's like the whole bit is like, over here's the treasure chest underneath and then over here I got the bombs and all over here I got the tools and then it's like, all right, it's time to clock out for the day, and he goes out into the he goes out into the parking lot and hops into the goblin sports car. That video was really good. It was really funny. Like, I love that type of stuff. It's so cheesy. It's great. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, some of those just crack me up because I'm like, it's corny, it's cheesy, but I like that there's actually effort now. Like, they're trying to be funny now, where before it was just like, I don't know, like a single post every once in a while, and now it's like, oh, they're actually getting people to help them make funny videos now. So that's cool. I like that. Let's see. The unopenable door. Within the prison, there is an unopenable door which lies beyond the treasure room containing the Magatama Gaia, a testament to the strength of the Mantra army who... Wow, English. A testament to the strength the Mantra army craves. To obtain Gaia, one must open the unopenable door, but to do so requires one to have an unmodified strength stat of at least 24. Okay, very similar to the game. Actually, I think it is literally that, but that's good. Let's see. Especially to have something there instead of the weird case after weird case with the occasional reminder of the 6-month purchase. Yeah, let's not talk about that part. That part sucks. Let's see. Eastern Passage. This gate leads to East Ikebukuro, as the only passage that leads to the Kabukicho prison is guarded by Yotosumi Ikusa. Yomotsu Ikusa. Okay, I think I'm reading that right. Okay, East Ikebukuro. Ikebukuro's east end is nearly entirely destroyed. It still contains multiple destinations within it, and has connection to the expressway, and is the only way to the southern toxic cloud-filled area. It also contains the Ikebukuro Tunnel. The Ikebukuro Tunnel is a connection between East Ikebukuro Station and Asakusa. This makes it a highly used route. Otsuka and Gokiji are mostly inhabited deserts, though colonies of escaped Monokins can be found there. Okay. You hear nodding. Look, I know. It takes me a second. I know. Look, I do my best. I'm not a Japanese speaking person, so I try the best that I can to pronounce with what I know. It is very difficult sometimes for me. So, we do our best here. Look, it's okay. It's like trying to pronounce certain, I think it's like what? Not certain creature names, but well, you know what I mean. I think it's like if you go to like the random name generator for like fantasy and D&D stuff, dude, trying to pronounce some names is a disaster. Oh, we're switching to something, boss fight theme here. Let's go with, yeah, this will do. Okay. The Ikebukuro Tunnel. Let's see. A tunnel that leads from Ikebukuro to Asakusa. It contains multiple dark zones and dangerous demons like Mothman are lurking about. Demons to note here include 4 Oni and a group. Or 4 Oni, a group that was banished from the Mantra army. Each of them adds a key. Or each of them, and see, each of their names end with a key. They claim the tunnel as their territory and are very unfriendly towards visitors. Thinking of making them all yourself? Yeah, you know what? I'll probably take a look at it. It could be fun. It could be kind of fun. Okay. Okay, so this is the dungeon I was thinking of. Yeah, the Ikebukuro tunnel. Yeah, we have Suki, Fuki, Kinki, Ongioki. Okay. Yes, his name is Kinki. I'm sure that won't be the butt of any jokes. Okay, the Toxic Lands. Oh hell yeah! I love League of Legends. The southern half of this region is Toxic Land. Damage zones covered with miasma. As such, the demons who can be found here are usually ones with resistance to poison, such as Zen or Divine Demons. Central to this area is Toyama, which is littered with abandoned housing, and further southwards is Ichigaya, which is said to have the last human military base. To get to the Mantra's army prison in Kabukicho means one must traverse the miasma. Okay. Whenever Ikebukuro is mentioned, you can only think of Durarara. Dude, I love Durarara. Like, it's funny because I actually use some of the songs from Durarara in some of my campaigns where for the fight that I did with sandworms in the desert attacking the caravan that the players were on, I think I used the what is it, the Ikebukuro Scramble, where it's the track that plays when they're trying to escort her through the whole crowd of the city, and they're meeting up with all the different members of what was the guy's name? Was it Dollars, I think? Or not Dollars, I don't remember. Where it's all the different people, they get her in like the mascot suit and just keep passing her along to the next person with the posts just keep going. Like, that's how you know I liked it. I remember the scene that it's from. Like that, and you also have to save, what was it, Blooming Justice for when someone freaks out. Oh, man. I remember that, and then seeing the sequel. I don't remember though. Was there anything more after the second season of Durarara? Maybe there was a light novel. I might have to take a look and see if I can find one. But look, I can tell you, it did make me enjoy Celti. I love Dullahan's. I think it's super cool. Let's see. Okay, Toyama. The damn, bro, you didn't even have to say it, Hawkins, and I felt that. Oh, great. Okay. We have Toyama. Oh, hold on. We gotta change the ominous music out. Hold up. Let's go with. Ooh, I love this track. This track is great. Classic banger. Oh man. Would you believe me? I went back to see, like, okay, so I have a confession. So I remember I went back and I was going to try to find the footage for the SMT 4 streams that we did a while ago. And I have a problem because it was during a period of time where I fucked up and just forgot to download the VODs back then. So we only have like a bit of the first half of the game, and then we're missing like a majority of the middle, and then we have like the ending. At least for APOC, we do have the whole playthrough saved. But yeah, I had to like double check my stuff. I'm like, look, unfortunately, that means probably one day we're going to do another playthrough of SMT4 just so we can finally like have that saved on the VOD channel. Because it's funny, if we're looking at like the retro games, we have SMT 1 through 3 on the VOD channel, and that's like the super old VODs. That's like pre-VTuber era streams. And it's like really funny because on those streams, we played SMT1, and we played it kind of as a gag originally, where I was like, I've never played this game, but I'm kind of interested in playing it. And I dragged Kai Albon because at that time, he wasn't streaming very much. So we got we were like, yeah, sure, why not? We'll just get together and we'll play this. And it kind of turned into like the thing that we did. Like we would just stream like a couple of times a week, and we were just playing SMT1 over and over, or playing it for hours. So go figure, right? So you can stop ripping game files. Someone on Reddit got back to you and gave you the place where they was already done. Oh, okay, that's good. The devs aren't down. They cut and ran from Nexon. I see. They ran away probably before lawsuits started kicking in then, huh? Okay, right. Back to what we were reading. Sorry. Toyama. The miasma of the toxic land separates the old Toyama housing district, leaving it isolated. Makes it a relatively safe area, largely free from demons, save for some foul, within the housing district. There is a church holding a secret colony. Former students from Waseda, along with some young children, are barely scraping by. However, the toxic miasma here is slowly but surely bringing things to a tragic end. And then we have Ichigaya. Gudanshita Station has fallen into the Void Sea, and the Yasukuni Shrine has been pulled over to the Marunouchi Chidoya region. As the former JSDF, or former Japanese ground self-defense, wow, mouthful, words long. Hold on. Also, music track, very inappropriate. Yeah, sure, that'll do. Probably not a lawsuit. They're publishing their own in Korea now. The contract probably ended. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. That makes sense. Understandable. Okay. Let me reread that. Ichigaya. Kudanshita Station has fallen into the Void Sea, and the Yasukuni Shrine has been pulled over to the Marunouchi Chidoya region. At the former Japanese ground self-defense force base. Wow, I'm sorry, that's a lot of words all strung together. A scant few of the JSDF's elite troops remain, preparing for a decisive strike, or decisive offense against demonkind. Dude, after the whole Devil May Cry anime talk, it's look, the blob demon, that's how I feel right now, okay? Bro, after the whole DMC anime talk, reading that line just like in the neurons activated in my brain. They aim to use the very last few of combat vehicles left in the whole of the Vortex World to do this, or at least they had been. When the Nightmare system was activated, their plans for an offense fell through as they had... Oh no. They too had their life energy drained from them. Ooh. Okay. So I guess that's interesting because earlier on in the character creation section, it talks about if you wanted to make a human character, and like say you wanted to be a soldier, you could have it as your goal to try and reach Camp Ichigaya. And well, unfortunately, this would have been the result of that. This would be interesting. This would be very, very interesting. Okay. All right. Kabukicho Prison. I remember this dungeon sucked in the original game because it was the first time there was a teleporting maze in a 3D game, I think. Is it? No. Yeah, actually, no. Yes, this was. Because Nocturne came first, then all of the other PS2 games came out afterward. Okay. Let's see. This facility houses the Mantra Army's prisoners, which includes mannequins, for the purpose of draining them of all their Magatsuhi. Due to a special mirror, the prisoners have been sealed within a mirage world, making it impossible for them to return. The mannequin leader, Futomimi, is also imprisoned here. To enter the mirage, one must have the Umugi stone held by the warden of the prison. A massive Mizuchi rules the prison with an iron claw. Yeah. Interesting. After the Mizuchi is defeated, the prisoners are freed, and the prison becomes a shelter for the displaced Mantra Army demons. However, it also comes under the control of Black Frost that has ingested the Satan Magatama. Oh, okay. You're gonna say 9 has got one, but you forgot it doesn't have dungeons. Hey, what's up, Lippo? How you doing, man? Me as the human soldier. God damn it. How is he going to pay me back my $5? Yeah. Aside from having to figure out all the character names in Japanese, damn, dude. One of those sources got almost everything you wanted. Nice. Also, how you doing, Filippo? By the way, I gotta say, I've been loving the art for the game that you're working on. I've been seeing your posts about it. Still super awesome, dude. Oh, man. Dude, my face went right here. Look, it's okay, Leaf. Now you too get to enjoy trying to read Japanese names out loud. Okay, Asakusa and the Yoshihima region. You have Senju, Asakusa, Karame, Asakusabashi, Taito. Oh, I remember. Oh, actually, it's funny. This is the region of Japan that I went to when I was over there. Good old Taito City. See, West Asakusa. Hold on. Ugushi Sudan. Is that an I? Sudani? Okay. You finished the character you've been wanting to make for a really long time. Nice. That's awesome, dude. Let's see. Aside from having to figure out all the characters' names, it's also weird how the character named Bai is translated as pie using the browser. That's funny. Dude, that's the Google Translate mix match. You shall return. Oh no. He went to the ad dimension. Oh man. Powerful moment. Oh no. Oh god, you're right. Actually, oh man, that's something I need to take a look at. I'm very curious now that we've been playing like the fan translation of Eternal Punishment. I kind of want to go and take a look at the original PS1 version of the game. Maybe not on stream, but just for my sake, because I'm kind of curious to see how different the translation is. Because all I can say is I'm still laughing when I went back. I looked up the cutscene about like what you said, Filippo, and where it's Baofu talking to the Chinese mafia, and it's just the same text and then bracket in Chinese. That had me laughing. Dude, it's so funny. I know they didn't mean for it to be so funny, but it has no reason being so funny. I see that and I'm just like, I can't take that so seriously. And it's so funny because it is a very serious moment. And he just hits you with the in Chinese. Look, dude, that's almost like when we were looking at like D&D homebrew, and I kept on laughing because in someone's homebrew they wrote the Chinese dragon, and I'm like, wait, what do you mean Chinese dragon? This is D&D world. There are no Chinese dragons in D&D. Oh man. That's why the meme happened, where people were just saying it in English and put his hand whisper in Chinese. Look, man, it just reminds me of like when I was looking at the D&D homebrew, and it's just the canonically Chinese dragon in the Forgotten Realms. The one Chinese dragon that made it through. Oh man. Right. Let's read the description. Oh man. This region is the last of the 6 major regions to see the touch of the Assembly of Nihilo. It gets restored as a place to live after the Monarchins escaped Kabukicho prison. Why this region has been under neither the Assembly nor the Mantra Army's control is likely due to one who resides at the Northern Temple. Until the forces of Yasuga invade, Asakusa is remarkably peaceful. Before that happens, the occasional scouting party from the Assembly of Nihilo is the greatest threat. Nope. All according to Kekak. Pokemon does the same thing in the series with a Pokedex entry. They'll be like, this Pokemon is stronger than 10 African elephants. Africa? Oh, dude, wait a minute. Actually, you're right. I'm thinking about it. Remember when, maybe, I don't remember if you were around for this, but when I did the Fire Red Nuzlocke on stream, like, I don't know, like a year or two ago at this point, or it was like a year ago now, actually. When I did the Fire Red Nuzlocke, I remember you go to the, oh my god, it's Lieutenant Surge's gym, and you read the sign there, and it calls him the Lightning American, and I'm like, what? America? Oh man. I love it. It's so funny when those like little mixes of localization get through and you're like, what? You're like, where's the canon here? Oh boy. Some of the fun stuff. Oh, let me just, there we go. All right, Kurame. This area is the other endpoint of the Ikebukuro Tunnel. The old sumo area, or the old sumo arena, is now an abandoned ruin. Oh, I want you to know that song hit, and it like just triggered me. All right, fun fact. So this song, the virtual battle theme for SMT4, is actually my cell phone ringtone. So I want you to know this song started and it like triggered a bomb in my brain where I'm like, is my phone ringing? My bad. Well, now I'm triggered. I have to change the song. You beat like 2 of those quests. Look, I'm gonna be real with you. I always look up those quests because I think it's cool to try and solve the puzzle, but some of the answers get really, really convoluted. So I'm like, look, I'd rather just look up the solution because it's like, some of them are like, you need to switch demons in and out like crazy. And it's like, sure, I get it. It's fun to solve the first time. But when you're doing like multiple playthroughs, I'm like, bro, just give me the answers. I'm just going to look this up. Let's see. The kind of challenge quest in Mega 10 games and P3P. Yeah. Like, I remember that. You're right. I forgot they were in the PSP. Dude, okay. Like, all I'm saying is when we get to Persona 3, we're going to have a lot of stuff to talk about because we got Persona 3 FES, which is, I think we're going to play the FES version when we get there, because we could play the remake, but then I'd have to buy the expansion, and that's like another $60 or something. But I do want to play FES. I do want to do that version. Yeah, me personally, I want to do the FES version because it is closer to the original version. Now, I was debating on us playing like the original Persona 3, but I'm going to be honest, just play the FES version. You get the same thing plus extra content, IMO. I would rather we just do that because I still want to show off a lot of that stuff. Let's see, Reload is for P5Z. Yeah, look, I'm going to be honest. I like Reload, but yeah, it's very much for the people that have played, Persona 5, really. Is it something worth taking a look at? Yeah, absolutely. I think the game's very cool. But for the way we've been going through it, how we've been going through like sort of more refined or at least slightly fixed versions of the original games, I think that'd be the way to go. You know what I mean? Maybe I'll do like a bonus of us maybe taking a look at the PSP version with P3P. It's funny. I think I have to see if I can maybe rip a copy of my save off of my Vita, because I do have a save of P3P that we could probably use and load that in to play. Because we could probably do the female route. I don't think I've ever done that one, but you know what I mean. Let's see. Different for every person in your context, so you know which one you can be ignored. Your generic ringtone is the opening for Dot Hack. Oh yeah. I know, it's so funny though. Like hearing this battle theme it put me to a dead stop. I'm like, wait a minute. Oh man, look, it's a cool battle theme, but I wasn't expecting it to catch me off guard like that. Oh man, look, I'm a big fan of SMT4's soundtrack. I think it's fantastic. I also like the soundtrack of SMT5. It's really good. Look. All I'm saying, we still didn't do SMT5 yet. We've got a lot of games before we get to SMT5, okay? And when we do play SMT5, we're probably going to play Vengeance, because it includes both the original SMT5 and also the new campaign, you know? And we're probably going to do both, I'm going to be honest with you. Because we're going to do like one playthrough of the original storyline and then one playthrough of the new storyline, I'd say. Because there are significant enough differences where I think it would be worth it. Now, are we going to get every single ending? No, I'm going to be honest with you. We're not doing that. You haven't played Vengeance because you bought Metaphor instead, but you barely played it. I liked Metaphor. That's another game that's on my backlog of games that I want to play on stream because I enjoyed it. I beat it. I had a great time. I really liked it. My only thing is, I think at some point I do want to stream it, but We'll figure out where we put that in. Sorry. Accidentally tapped my mic. My bad. The yes or no, does it reveal itself as a Megaten game? Do you want the real answer, or do you want me to lie to you? Because there's a lot of nods to it being a Megaten, but it is not a Megaten. Although there are moments. Just say it, you're okay with it? They do the moment where they're like, well, if we go down deep enough, we can find the truth about the world. But, you know. Look, I will say there's a lot of Megaten nods in that game, and you will find it. There's very obvious Easter eggs. I mean, hell, someone brings up the Holy Grail, and it's literally the Persona 5 Holy Grail. So there you go. That is one thing you could keep in mind as we sort of, you know, go on with it. But, like, I'll be honest, I'd still say it's worth checking out. I think it's a very cool game. There you go. That's my metaphor tangent. I mean, look, as someone that I remember back then when we were pulling up the trailers for it, when it got announced, it was awesome. But we'll get to it. That's another game we'll get to on stream at some point. It's look, I've got my Atlas backlog full right now. I'm kind of got like a lot of the PS2 games on the docket. Like, I'm excited for when we finally get to sit down and play the new Raito remake, because we've been thinking about sitting down and doing Raito for a while, but now that there's a remake in the mix, I'll probably just wait for that, because it'll be a little bit of a better experience to go through. Because it looks, again, faithful to the original, but, you know, with a lot of technical improvements, because Raito 1's really jank. It's kind of old. Yeah. Look, I'm not going to lie, Filippo. That was like one of the things that on the main channel, I actually put up a reaction video of me and Kyle going through it, and it's really cool. I think it's very, very nice. But, yeah, I mean, there you go. Plug myself there. Yeah. They basically turned it into Raito too. Yeah, they did. But yeah, I mean, there you go. If you ever wanted to see mine and Kyle's reaction to that, that's on the main channel, which I got you. Look, I'm allowed to plug my own stuff. So there you go. You can check that out whenever you want to. I got you with that. If anyone was ever curious. So, anyways, back to what I was saying. Yeah, at some point we do want to get to that. We also do want to get to like Digital Devil Saga. Like DDS, I've heard is really good. That's something that like some of my friends, I think even like in high school, were telling me to check out, but I just didn't get around to it. Because it's funny, because I didn't actually own a PS2 for a very long time. So like I really wasn't able to like get around to playing a lot of those like later Atlas games for like a while, you know? So I think it's funny, like when I remember when I got my 3DS, and like the first game that I got on it was Devil Survivor, the remake, like Devil Survivor Overclocked. And I had to make a choice between that or Soul Hackers on the 3DS, and I kind of wish I also got Soul Hackers, but you know, it is what it is. I can't go back in time, because now it's like if you want to get a physical copy of that, good luck. But go figure. The same case with like SMT4, by the way, but you know, unless you like paying hundreds of dollars for 3DS games, good luck. Look, at least we have emulation nowadays. Let me change this track. Yeah, this'll do. Okay. All right, my bad. Sorry about the sorry about the tangent. Anyways, Asakusa. Asakusa, yeah, okay. A ruined area within a crater. Some Monokins who've escaped captivity live here, if one can call it living. At the heart of the crater is a Monokin holy land. Oh boy. the Mifunashiro. Okay, there we go. Mifunashiro. Once Futomimi and the other Monokin escaped from the Kabukicho prison, the area is restored and established as an independent and free city. Okay, nice. After the Mantra army is destroyed, Asakusa opens its doors to the beast demons and other survivors from the army. Not bad. Let's see, what else do we have here? Asakusa has an Amala terminal and a fountain of life and a cathedral of shadows, as well as a junk shop. Okay, so usual facilities that you would see. Let's see. Once Asakusa is restored by Futomimi, the collector Monokin comes in and establishes a second junk shop with a truly unique lineup. There's also a game corner within leading to the and a tunnel within leading to the Mifunashiro. And if you manage to beat all 20 levels, oh god, as the DM do, oh no, bro. As the DM, am I gonna have to prepare this shit, or is this in the book, bro? Because if it's not in the book, I'm gonna like have to like look up some sliding block puzzles and just give that to them. Like either that, or you play like rock paper scissors with the kid or something. I don't know. We'll make it easy. Because look, as fun as it is to make puzzles for your tabletop games, the one thing you have to remember is sometimes your tabletop players are kind of dumb. I'm gonna be real with you, because this is something that happened to me. It happens to everyone. Sometimes just make the puzzle simple, or just bypass it, or make it like very easy to be solved. Because if a puzzle's too complicated, the players will give up, and then they're just gonna ask you a bunch of questions, and then people's gonna get confused. And look, it just, trust me, it leads to being kind of a pain in the ass. Just copy the Legend of Zelda block puzzle or something. Yeah, for real. You know, you can just do that. Okay. Once Asakusa has been restored. Okay, right. Talked about that. Let's see. All 20 levels of the puzzle boy, you can obtain the Geist Magatama. Eventually, a series of bizarre murders occurs on Asakusa, perpetrated by Sakahagi. Alright. Yeah, okay. Post-restoration, it's level 35, and then further on, it turns into a 45 zone. Let's see, the Asakusa Junk Shop. This junk shop is ran by a particularly fabulous Monokin. Let's see, we get our usual items. And you have Nirvana and Gehenna. Okay. Collector's Junk Shop. Let's see, after the Asakusa restoration, the Collector Monokin eventually moves here to set up shop. Many of the items here are quite unique, or quite rare, and he even collects information about human relics. Okay. So we have Sacred Water, Chakra Job, the Wagtail Plume, Arakumi, Kawaragi, Vima, Sophia, and also grenades. It's very funny that he just has a pile of grenades. Okay. We have the Mifunashiro, the Mifunashiro, the Monokin Holy Land at the heart of Asakusa. It is here that Futomimi shuts himself away and meditates, seeking a path for the future for all Monokins. Outsiders are not permitted inside. Even if one makes it to the entrance, the doors will remain sealed both inside and outside. The Mifunashiro is protected by the gods of old Japan. Additionally, Jirei demons are drawn to the location and are found in abundance. Then, during Yosuga's assault, the High Order divines descend upon Mifunashiro in droves. Funny thing recently, you made a puzzle that you thought that there was only one answer to it, and it was a sliding puzzle where you only allowed 5 movements to create a path. The player found another answer, and you gave them inspiration. Nice! Yeah, it's like stuff like that. I think that's good. Pathfinder version of Hero Points. Yeah. I think that's a good, like, look, when that happens, that's like the inverse, okay? That's really good, okay? You love to see stuff like that. Let's see, Senju, the unpopulated backyard of Asakusa. The Monokin restoration efforts don't reach this area. There are still ruined human buildings left over from the conception dotted all around. Despite the number of available ruins, the Monokins avoid it, for the Monokin slayer Sakahagi is said to be lurking there. And then Taito. This area serves as kind of a backdoor into Asakusa. The Collector's Monokin's shop has an underground tunnel that lets out here. Once known for wholesale markets and a downtown feel, it's now lost both of those and now stands among the sands as ruins. The drainage ditches that run nearby are said to be the birthplace for the Monokins from time to time. Assembly of Nihilo scouting parties can be found here. Okay. The District of Ueno. The larger Ueno district remains relatively green, with Ueno Park itself being shrouded in tranquility. This is due to the protection of Bishamonten. Bishamonten, who resides within the Northern Temple. Likewise, Bishamonten's presence means the Mantra Army and the Assembly of Nihilo both tend to leave the Ueno district alone. From Yushima, one can access the Asakusa Tunnel to continue on through to Gaian Mai, and from there, access the eastern side of Yogi Park. Okay, so again, more ways to travel around the world. Let's see, the old Yushima Tenjin Shrine is now on the brink of falling into the void. Underneath the scant number of remaining buildings lies the entrance to the Asakusa Tunnel, which connects the Gaian Mai at times. Demons lurking within the Asakusa Tunnel can crawl out into Yushima at large. The tunnel itself is narrow and treacherous. It has a red mist which acts as damage zones, okay, as well as a dark zone preventing one from seeing. Okay, so I do like that they're adding in a lot more of these gameplay elements into the exploration again. Let's see, Ueno Park. This area maintains at least some of its greenery, with Bishamonten sealed inside of the Northern Temple, closed by the Assembly of Nihilo. Divines rarely get close. The bad blood, Kathas, can still be seen flying over the park. Okay. Let's see. Ugu Sidani. Beyond Ueno Park lies a Northern Temple. Here's where Bishamonten lives in seclusion. The temple, or the seal on the temple, is so impenetrable that no one can hope to enter without possessing the Kimon stone found in the Yashiro, or the Yurakucho tunnel. Okay. Ah, right. And then welcome to the end. The big final area, really. Maruno, let's see, the Chioda region. Budan, Kojimachi, Chiyoda, Maranachi, Otamachi, and Kanda. Oh, and Hitutsu Ash? Okay. This region, once known for its office buildings, has been completely overhauled as the Assembly of by the Assembly of Nihilo. This location is now dedicated entirely now to constructing the obelisk. As this region is now completely under the Assembly's control, it is entirely common to see patrols of divine demons flying overhead. Okay. Okie dokie. Let's see. Marunouchi and Otamachi. Former government districts, Otamachi has been torn asunder. This split has separated Kanda from Marunouchi. Within the Marunouchi is a line of abandoned buildings. The center building contains the Assembly of Nihilo's Marunouchi entrance. It is heavily guarded by divine demons led by virtues. Okay. Bro, we're dino dancing? Nice. Let's see. We have Chiyoda. The grounds of the Imperial Palace are now nothing but a crater that has no clear origin. At the heart of the crater stands the obelisk, constructed by the Assembly of Nihilo. Or of Nihilo. Wow, English. I'm fumbling the bag, bro. Welcome back, Hawkins. The obelisk. Hold on. Okay, yeah, this track's fine. The obelisk. Not bad, not bad. We're reading up on the final areas, honestly, because from what I remember, this is like the end of the game in Nocturne. So this is like the high level area that the players should really only get to towards the end of their adventure. As, you know, the major forces are sort of ramping up and we're leading to what would be the final dungeon. You know, granted, the players might just not want to do that, but, you know, and this is kind of a more linear adventure, you could say, compared to like a more sandboxy. Like, you can be sandboxy, but it's more sandboxy within sections or regions, I would say. And, like, I would say after the players have resolved whatever's in that region, they move to the next sandbox, you could say. You know, it's funny. This is going to sound kind of dumb, but it kind of reminds me of, like, old GTA, where it's like you'll have the certain islands that you start on, and then after you finish the missions there, you go to the next island, and so on and so on. Kind of interesting. The obelisk. The obelisk serves as the site for the Nihilo's, or the Assembly of Nihilo's world recreation ritual. Say that 3 times fast. Let's see, the 160th floor, its uppermost floor, contains a room where one can commune with the creator gods. The room contains only Takao Yuko, the maiden of creation, while Hikawa is already off at the diet building enacting his next scheme. The middle floors, a labyrinth making use of Kagatsuchi, has been constructed to deter intruders. Should anyone make it to the 128th floor, the Moire sisters await those. Await to bring those intruders to their doom. That. Let's see. Let me know if you ever do a D&D of Warcraft you might be interested. Oh, definitely. I do definitely have to say it's in the cards. Absolutely will do. I actually have like all of the books and stuff for that. So we'd probably do maybe like a couple of streams where we take a look at some of those books and additionally some of the supplementary stuff. Since it is older D&D, it's like D&D 3.5 or D&D 3 and 3.5, which is funny because that's stuff that I'm very familiar with. So that'll definitely be something fun. And oh yeah, definitely would love to do something like that at some point. It's just, you know, we got a lot to to dig around through. Let's see what else. Oh yeah. And it's true. It literally is just a D&D book. It's literally a Blizzard and WotC crossover book. The only thing is, you know, you just have to make some adjustments where it's funny. They made Paladin better because, of course, they did in classic Blizzard fashion. They buffed Paladin, and monks don't exist because they said, quote, monk isn't a real class. Yeah, I know, right? Great. Once the Yahiro no Himaragi is used at the temple, the Tower of Kakatsushi descends over the obelisk, driving into the ground and lowering its upper reaches. The final battle then begins. The obelisk of this period is covered by the Tower of Kakatsuchi section. And Kudan. The Yasukuni Shrine has been pulled into Kudan now, but now no one can enter it due to the powerful barrier erected over it. As the whole area is rich with spiritual energy, the divines of the Assembly of Nihilo do not often approach it. Okay. In Kanda, another former government district, one who possesses the blade or the Lord's blade in all Magatamas can travel to Masakato's grave. From there, they can be transported to the Bando or the Bandu shrine. And there is a person. The person is subjected to the trial of the four devas. If they succeed, they will receive the ultimate Magatama, Masakatos, from Tira no Masakato himself. Why do they keep buffing paladins? You hate them in PvP, but not as much as druids. Dude, I hate fighting druids. Dude, look, it's druids, it's rogues, it's paladins, everyone's rough. I don't like fighting anyone. Oh, man. Dude, paladins are crazy now, dude. Let's see. Sano and Nagatacho. Yeah, the Sano Nagatacho region. Oh, we have Kasumigaseki, Nagatacho, Sano, Akasaka, which is literally just empty. Cool. Toromo, Roppongi, Azabu. Rogues definitely need a nerf on CC. Dude, all I can think of is an outlaw rogue stunning you for like 20 years. That's all I can think of, dude. Look, I remember like old WoW and you would get stun locked by a rogue then. Now it's like, bro, you get stun locked and it's GG, bro. It's over. Yeah, stuns you into retirement. It's over. You are not allowed to pass go. You can't see the light of day. It's over, dude. Due to sharp elevation changes in the Sano side of the region, or the Sano side of the region is completely cut off from the Nagatacho side. At Sano lies the Amala Temple, which inside of which a foreign god is sealed. There aren't any direct routes that allow one to access the temple, so the only way to reach it is via the Amala network. The neighboring areas of Akasaka and Roppongi are wastelands with hardly any demons aside from Sapernius flying overhead. On the Nagatacho side, The assembly of Nihilo is quite active around Kasumigaseki as they have built up a nightmarish labyrinth which they seek to populate with many tyrant and vile demons. That sucks, bro. You know what that means? Another dungeon for you and your boys. Warlock kills you when you go home to make a sandwich. Damn. Alright, what do we got here? Yola Black Temple? Okay. We have the Sano region. Okie dokie. The Amala Temple is in Sano with 3 subsidiary temples. The Red, the Black, and the White Temple are all protected by a guardian. Once the 3 guardians are defeated, a sponsor god can be summoned at the Court Temple. In the original game, this is where Nita Isamu and the drifting god summons the drifting god Noah. Okay. Where's the Rainbow Temple? It's back on the Rainbow Bridge, bro. We gotta go back. Amala Temple's environs. Demons bound about the temple. In addition, there are more unusual demons. Whenever the Kagatsuchi is full or new, elementals and mitamas appear. Sure. The White Temple lies the entity Albion. There are warp zones. Oh no. Oh, I forgot. This is another warp temple. To Valhalla. Okay, I see. All right. There are warps throughout this dungeon. A unique item, the Blessed Fan, hides away in the 2nd floor. Good to know. Black Temple, Asiel, the demon. The whole temple is filled by darkness, and many of its doors are sealed. To reach the tyrant, one must first climb their way to the 3rd floor and extinguish the black flame there. Red Temple. Shadows fall across the ground on this temple, which serve as warp point. Bro, that's not fun. Serving as warp zone, stepping into the shadow will whisk you away to a land of shadows, wherein exist many damage zones, and escaping the land of shadows requires touching the shaft of light. Bro, that's... Man, why do you gotta say it like that, bro? You gotta touch the shaft of light? Unfortunate naming. Damn, look, it's the Barons. We found it. Knock your lights out, literally. They're gonna drag you to the Shadow Realm, bro. Let's see, the Barons. On the Sano side, the hilly, affluent residential neighborhoods of Akasaka, Roppongi, and Azabu are no more, and instead, all that remains here are barren wastes. Akasaka, the old business district, is now entirely desert, and none of the buildings remain. The only demon that would be normally caught here is Sapernia flying overhead. Even so, people who come to this area through the Amala network must still contend with the barren sand dunes. In the north, the greenery of the Asakasa estate is hanging on, and travelers may find a moment of rest there. It is said that something lives deep within the gardens there, but none have exactly confirmed what. Okay, that's another plot hook you can do. Hell's only recruitment policy, taking Yu-Gi-Oh! Grand Duelist. Gotta rephrase that to the Pillar of Light. Exactly, I know, right? I'm not gonna call it the Shaft of Light, bro, because I know my players are gonna sit there giggling and go, you have to touch the Shaft of Light to get out. And then I'm just gonna look at them and be like, really, dude? Really? We're gonna do this? Yeah, okay, cool. Anyways, Roppongi. This area, once held as a nightlife district, is now nothing but desert. The Conception reclaimed Roppongi Hills and has no trace of it anymore. When exiting the Amala network into Sano, travelers will find themselves in the middle of Roppongi's sand dunes, and they will also learn that they cannot return to the Amala network the same way they came out. The sparse ruins of the old world left in Roppongi include the old Defense Ministry building, which now seems to be shielded by a strange barrier. It's rumored that within the building lies some secret weapons the JSDF had. Of the JSDF, perhaps the rumor that the Assembly of Nihilo Scouts Assembly of Nihilo Scout teams led by Dominions will sometimes be seen nearby. Let's see, Azabu, a once upper-class affluential residential, now turned into a shoreline of ruins falling into the void. Some may say that the souls of people who once lived there now continue living their lives among the ruins, entirely unaware of their deaths. Okay, kind of an interesting little bit you can use. All right, we're changing this. We don't need this. Oh, actually, very fitting. We can have the Roppongi music playing. Okay. Nagato outskirts. The Assembly of Nihilo is active in Nagato, preparing to summon the God of Reason. They're serving as a site for the ritual is the Diet Building. Tyrant demons inside have erected a nightmarish labyrinth awaiting for the destined time. The Shaft of Light, bro. I know, bro. Dude, for real. Pillar of Light, the Tower of Light, the Shaft of Light. You know, you get what I'm saying. Okay. Kasumi Gasaki and Toranomon. Okay. Like Geronimo, but Toronimo. Let's see. While now abandoned, this former government district has retained nearly all of its buildings. Instead of politicians, it now is the Assembly of Nihilo's divines who lord over the area. Kasumi Gasaki connects through to... Oh my god, bro. Kasumi Gasaki connects through to Shinbashi via the Yurakucho tunnel. After the fall of Asakusa, the demons flock here as they hear the reason of Shijima established here within Kasumi Gasaki Station. Queen Mob and Allegor stand watching those who come through the station. Geronimo is an isolated area slowly falling into the void. The police station of the area, already half sunken in, is now nothing more than ruins where souls wander. It is possible one might unearth firearms and related supplies here. Okay. Tyranimo. See. Nagato. Here, one will find the Diet Building, no longer having power even in its place where laws once made its pitiful souls of pompous politicians linger, unable to let go of what they once had. After the fall of Asakusa, many vile and tyrant demons are summoned to the Diet Building to serve the cause of Shijima. They change the area into a labyrinth. The Diet Building's interior is divided into the following areas: the entrance, Central Tower, West and East Wing, the Conference Hall, and the entrance, at the entrance, Cert stands guard. At the West Wing, Mata, while the East Wing holds Mott. Oh god, not Mott, dude. That fight sucked. Pretty bad. Hold on, we're switching tracks. We're jumping around a little bit. Hold up. And we can let this one sit, actually. Dude, if it's Mott, if he works the same way I'm thinking, you could probably just give him Beast Eye and just start trolling the enemy. Let's see. These make the building into a maze, misdirecting visitors with warp trials, illusions, and the conference hall. Mitra stands in judges over any demon who has made it this far. If he finds them guilty, he will try to kill them without fail. Finally, the Central Tower serves as a place where Hikawa and Takao Yuko will try to summon Ariman to advance their plans, and watching over them is another demon, Samael. Okay, well, there's a shit ton of bosses, just like in the game, and, yeah, okay. Here we go. The big, the bad, the ugly. Welcome. Welcome to the final dungeon. The Tower of Kagatsuchi. Once the Yahiro no Himaragi is presented to the Temple of... Yeah, you know what? Give me a second. Let me drink some water. Look, man. I'm going to be real with you, okay? Sometimes, you gotta just, take a deep breath. Ooh. Okay, we're good. Dumb question. What is my favorite demon? Good question, actually. Let's see, not person, but type of demon. I kind of like... What type of demon do I like? If we're going by like Megaten standards, it's like I do like fairies and like pixies and that stuff, mostly because it's like I like folklore creatures. I think those are really cool because a lot of them they're not necessarily how do I say this? They don't necessarily always have rules that they live by, but it's more interesting to sort of see. Sometimes they're just like cryptids or like weird creatures. Like You got things like the Chupacabra, where it's literally like what, a demon that it's literally called Goat Sucker. Something like that, you know? So it's like, you have that. What else? I like a lot of some of the folk deities as well. Like, you know, like I said, I like things that are like magical creatures. Cryptids you might know series. Ooh. Do tell. Like, I'm always down to add stuff to my backlog. I need something nice to listen to while I'm working on some stuff for stream. Oh, okay. Never heard of them. I'll probably take a look at that. I appreciate it. Non-boss. Nice. Good choice. I do like those. Those are pretty good as well. Let's see. Oh, okay. Let's do this. All right. The Tower of Kagatsuchi. Hold on, let me just like fix this for you guys. Yeah, there we go. See, Alpha Abuser was a famous Warhammer text-to-speech up until the game. Oh yeah. Oh wait a minute, I forgot. Isn't that the guy who's doing the Hunter the Parenting series? Yeah. I was okay. No. I have seen this guy's stuff. Yeah. I remember him. I like his Hunter the Parenting series. It's pretty good because it's basically the Vampire the Masquerade stuff. Very good. Very cool. Okay. See, once the Yahiro no Himaragi is presented at the Amala Temple, the Tower of Kagatsuchi descends, uniting with the obelisk. The obelisk changes due to this, as though being crunched down, now allowing access to the 132nd floor directly from the ground floor. The 160th floor now connects the Tower of Kagatsuchi to form there and continues onto the 666th floor. Okay. Oh, he's also the guy that got you to turn. Oh, okay. I'm like a little bit behind. I should go back and like catch up on some of their stuff then. Good to know. Okay. Once the Tower of Kagatsuchi manifests, all that is left is for every faction to try and climb it. So again, this is like the end. This is the end of the campaign, the big finale. This is where we're going, okay? All right. One of three stones, the Heaven Stone, the Earth Stone, and the Nether Stone are are granted to the Reason Runners and are then ordered to assemble all three again. Only one who gathers all three stones and ascends to the 666th floor and offers them to the altar there will be allowed to face the scrutiny of whether or not they are suitable to be the creator of a new world by Kagatsuchi itself. On the 223rd floor awaits Hikawa, merged with Ariman. On the 229th floor, or the 329th floor, awaits Nita Isamu, merged with Noah. And on the 426th floor awaits Tachibana Chiaki, merged with the Avatar of Baal. Wow, I'm getting a bit of Baldur's Gate 3 into me. He has 2 episodes about him and his friends playing it. It's kind of funny. The Potato is a great series that studies the biology of mythical creatures. Or Potato. I'm going to check that out too. That's kind of cool. Let's see. There also at the 480 or 18th floor is a level 80 Thor who awaits a worthy challenger. Lastly, the group of Monakins who escaped from Asakusa had built a small settlement on the 402nd floor, setting up for an Amala terminal, Cathedral of Shadows. Okay, nice. So there's a town there, basically. All right. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about level curve here. So remember how before we talked about a lot of things, okay? But before we talked about leveling up throughout the campaign, and where most D&D campaigns you start maybe level 1 and you'll get to like maybe level 10 or 11. A lot of campaigns don't really go too far past level 10 because, let's be honest, not a lot of people are playing at a high level. It's funny because I know we've been streaming like playing Pathfinder Kingmaker. That's an example of a campaign that does go to level 20 because I can guarantee you when we get to the end of that game, yes, we will be level 20. Same thing when it comes to like Wrath of the Righteous. You do get to level 20. But in Baldur's Gate 3, you only get to, I think it's like, what, level 12 is the cap? I kind of wish it went further, but I understand why they did that. They probably, well, didn't want to go further than that because, again, it would just outscale the rest of the game or the rest of the game's content. But now you have a weird case with this tabletop RPG where you start from level 1 and go up to level 99. You know, just saying. I understand why, because again, that is the original content. That is how the game was played. So, you know, you do have to keep that in mind. That is just, well, how it was, you know. But, well, you get the point I'm getting at here, right? Let's just say it probably doesn't work very well at a high level, and it probably doesn't work very well at a low level either. Okay. Oh, let me switch up the music a little bit here. Let's go with something good. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's a banger. Okay, let's see. Start off at level 65 just being around it. Then you go up to level 60 from the beginning of the floors, 75 from the lower segment, middle part of the tower, level 80, and the upper part 80 and above. Okay. I think... Actually, hold on. Wait a minute. Oh, we're done with that. Okay, cool. So, we've actually finished doing all of the areas in the game, really. So now, I think this is like, yeah, this is right before we get into... yeah, okay, so this is right before we get into the Game Master section. Let's just read through this, because this is actually very helpful, especially for the one-shot that I'm working on for some of my players. Guidance before the conception. When playing Tokyo Conception, you may want to end up running a scenario where you fight with Hikawa just before the conception hits, or go on an adventure with a pixie who comes fluttering into modern society. Here you'll find guidance on how to do exactly that. Let's see, Japan respects guns and has a lot of weird rules. Look, there's a lot. There's a lot. They respect deities, they respect a lot of things. Look, just don't go doing pull-ups on a tree. You'll get in trouble, okay? Just trust me. Just from seeing how that's been going with other people. Probably don't want to go around and just, like, be a nuisance in the street. That's how you get in trouble. And nothing is stronger than the Holy Glock. Look, Hawkins, I'll have you know, in the older SMT games, shotguns were a lawful aligned gun. I want you to remember that. You literally could not use a shotgun if you were not lawful, which is very funny. So, like, machine guns were for chaotic people, shotguns were for lawful people, and sniper rifles were for neutral people. So there you go. Now you get your SMT gun lore. Automatic rifles are my game. Oh, man. Oh, boy, oh, boy. Okay. So general rule. Okay, so this is interesting. So this is if we want to create a part of the one-shot that takes place before the conception. In my personal opinion, I'm going to be trying to run something similar to this because I want my players to sort of, you know, dip their toes into a bit of a Megaton campaign, but I don't want to just dump them into the Vortex World because a lot of them have never played Nocturne. A lot of them are not familiar with SMT as a concept or as a series. So I figured let's start with something similar like this, because this would be a good way to get people into it so they can understand sort of what they're getting into, you know, at a start. So on that note, let's get started. Well, hold on, let me just find some music for us. Oh, we're not using that. Hold up. What's a good track? You know what? Oh, don't want that. Sorry. Hold on. We're just finding some music real quick. Wait, what is this? Is this what I think it is? Oh, yeah, I know what this is. Okay. Yeah, we could let this one go for a little bit and then we'll just change track after. Okay. Ba-dum-bum-bum. All right, general rule. This rulebook is dedicated to providing the information needed for you to reproduce the Vortex World campaign, that is the world of Nocturne, but if you decide you want to do something prior to the conception, the GM will need to do a lot of heavy lifting in figuring out the details of the setting. When playing in this style, we recommend that you limit to 1 or 2 scenarios, then link those stories into the Vortex World, such as the player character's efforts. The conception happens regardless, then the player character surviving in the next world. The setting. When playing before the conception, the setting where the story takes place is for the GM to decide. They may also decide to limit the mechanics using the following rather than the full book's mechanics. Extra rules. For sessions that are only set to be before the conception, the following rules may be adopted or as desired. In particular, rules for contact as well as the specials skills, human forms, and closed world are indispensable for making sure that your story goes smoothly. If anyone at the table wants to play a fiend or a demon, then in addition to their normal starting skills, they gain the human form skill. Okay, fair enough. Unironically, you got into a heated debate for the uselessness of guns in the freerun universe. Really? Interesting. Let's see, money. All player characters gain yen equal to 20 times their luck stat, or 20,000 times their luck stat. When buying things, 1 maka is equivalent to 1,000 yen. Oh no. Okay, so 10 US dollars equals 1 maka. You got that, guys? Now you know. So if you ever want to buy a pizza with US dollars, or with maka, now you know. It's like, what, 2 maka? 1 maka. 1.5 maka. And if you're wondering, what is maka? It is, also what the channel points are. It is the money of the Makaians, the money of the demon realm. All right, contacts. For contacts prior to the conception, each player character should decide on 2 people they are familiar with who are suited for the setting. Any particulars should be decided in conversation between the player and the GM. For example, a teacher from a school, a shopkeep from a local store, boss or manager from a small company, a priest from a local shrine or church, a friend from the internet, or someone involved in the same club or activity. Public identity. Thanks for the redeem. I got you. Let me drink some water. You said mainly giving Freerun a gun would only serve to hinder her. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's like, look, when you have magic, who needs a gun, bro? You are the gun. Let's see, because they were sharing memes of her with guns. Oh, I've seen which ones. Yeah, it's like of the cosplayer, I think, with like a military vehicle or something. I think I've seen that before. Ooh, whoa, banger track alert. Hold up. Haven't heard this one in a hot minute. I mean, you don't just give a mage a gun. I mean, true. Okay. Public identity. Should you commit a crime, or if it's found out that you're actually a demon or a fiend, then you probably won't be able to live the same life you've been living until then. When the identity of is the player characters to decide, the GM decides when the identity might be burned. Items. No other items other than medicine exists. Yep, makes sense. Give a normal man a gun, he might be on par with a mage who specializes in being an arcane Gatling gun. You're true. And they said guns would take out mages in that world. Dude, hell no. Bro, barriers can stop bullets. Do not knock the abjuration wizard. They will stop you. Look, man, you just got to get creative. You just form the barrier around them and then you crush them, Come on. Look, you can use shields in that way. You just got to be a little bit smart. Look, take it from a wizard. There you go. Depends on how fast the mage is or if they're caught by surprise. Exactly. Like, see, it's a very complicated situation. Bum, bum, bum. Oh, whoops. There we go. Hold on. Let me switch up tracks real quick. Let's jump in back over here. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Or do like they did in Arcane? You know, it's funny. I never actually sat down to watch Arcane. I sat down and watched the Devil May Cry anime and a little bit of Castlevania, but I never sat down and watched Arcane. And I heard Arcane's really good. I'll be honest, I guess I'm kind of burnt out on the League of Legends world because I don't know. I liked the old continuity, but then they like rewrote everything, and it's like, I don't know what's canon and what's not canon anymore in that world. Let's see. What lord or power-hungry fella doesn't want to make his soldiers stronger by just having a handful of mages? I mean, true. Form a barrier around the shooter, then have it bounce around. Yo, exactly. There you go. Didn't they rewrite it like 3 times? Yeah, they did. Like, they deleted the whole lore like 3 times, and I'll be honest, I don't even know what's canon anymore. Most of it got, like, rewritten or eroded. It sucks. It's just kind of a big letdown, you know? That, like, most of the stuff that I knew when I was growing up playing League in, like, high school, it just doesn't matter anymore. I have no idea what, like, any of this stuff anymore. Let's see. All right, carrying weapons. Sometimes retcons are never fun. Yeah, it's like, look, I can understand when you need to do a retcon, but other times it's difficult because you can't really just, like, if you're constantly retconning, what's continuity? You know, what's canon? I don't know. Okay, it's like sometimes they change up the situations, and you know, you're not too sure really what matters anymore in a situation. I don't know. It's not my favorite thing. Not my cup of tea. Anyways, carrying weapons. Player characters gain only the equipment they would have normally at the start, and anything beyond that comes from demons or as item drops. Let's see, as far as legality goes, anyone other than a soldier or a police officer who is found carrying a firearm will be treated as a criminal and punished accordingly. For swords, they can try to obtain a permit to carry a katana from the government, but this may mean the police eye you, even arrest you or detain you, depending on how you use it. Demons and other such things, of course, do not exist in society. Police, nor anyone really, will believe you when you say you were fighting. I mean, look, you could try to convince someone that, but they would look at you like you're crazy, you know, just saying. Okay, now this is kind of interesting because this would help solve the problem that some of my players, they wanted to either play fiends or demons, but if we're doing a situation or a scenario where we're starting before the conception, this would help out. So human form. Demon/fiend, this is passive. You assume a human form. If you are a fiend, this form is what you would look like prior to being a fiend. If you are a demon, then this is a form that you take on, a unique human form. This form is based on and suggestive of your original demon form. You may decide which form you enter in a scene. You may also change between them at any time. When you shift into a human form, your clothes automatically return as well. Regardless of form, your stats do not change. However, when using any skills that isn't passive or talk skill, you must shift into and reveal your true form. Fair enough? Okay, now the other stuff. Professional. And this is for humans or a human form. The skill represents having a profession that allows you to make a living. Anytime you do something covered by that profession, you may automatically succeed at it to the bare minimum acceptable, without having to roll a check. This is only a bare minimum success, however. And such, producing any better of a result requires making a roll in the appropriate stat. Yep. Time to carry RPG 2. Yeah. Look, man, if you're walking down the street and you've got like 3 machetes, an RPG, and a gun in your back pocket, look, man, of course the cops are going to go after you. No shit. Okay. Automatic success apply only to everyday things, such as being a taxi driver, being able to drive a car normally, being a chef, being able to handle a knife. It never applies to combat or to using magic. Furthermore, when you're wearing clothes relevant to your profession, you gain a 5% bonus evasion. This bonus is lost if you equip armor. Okay. I mean, sure. Fiends and demon only benefit from the skill when in their human form. The skill can be acquired multiple times, so you cannot select the same profession twice. For example, if a character who just chosen nurse as a profession can do anything that would be common sense for a nurse to do, and does not need to roll to apply first aid or simple first aid or access medical knowledge, when equipped with a uniform for a nurse, they gain evasion bonus. That's okay, sure. And favorite subject. Specify a keyword that represents your character's individuality and is suitable in the setting. You gain a 20% bonus to checks related to that word. The keyword should generally come from fields like school subjects, hobbies, club activities, sports, or art. Practical examples would be like linguistics, baseball, skiing, photography, or the like. The bonus is only gained when the check is appropriate to the keyword and can never be applied in combat. Furthermore, when you're wearing clothes relevant to it, okay, so same thing, same bonus. If you dress up as a skimpy nurse while being while being a buff man, will it still work? Yes. Look, all you have to wear is like the little hat that a nurse would wear. There you go. You're good. Let's see. Player who's chosen baseballs, their keyword applies to any bonus. Okay, so same thing. If one's keyword is science, then a suitable uniform would mean wearing a lab coat. Wearing one would grant evasion bonus, while things like linguistics or math don't have archetypical clothing assigned to them, and as such can never gain evasion bonuses. Damn, rude. Okay, boss exclusive skill, Closed World. A demon boss severs a set space from reality and converts it into a separate space, or a separate closed world. The demon may selectively draw humans near to the severed space into the closed world and alternately repel them from it. Closed world cannot be perceived by humans in the real world. Naturally, whatever goes on in this thing also, let's see, they will not be aware of it. Player characters as well as NPCs. Okay, so it's basically just a pocket dimension that the bosses can pull players into so they can have combat without creating an uproar. Okay, makes sense to me. Let's see. The interior of the closed world and how it appears is entirely designed by the boss. Let's see. If the closed world ends somehow, the appearance it took while severed disappears and it all returns to normal. Setup. Okay, narratively speaking, using the closed world requires a large amount of Magatsuhi, and as does expanding the area has been severed, such as a boss demon cannot maintain it for more than... Okay, so one pocket dimension, can't do it for too long. Only a few people can get into it. Okay, fair enough. Makes sense to me. Optional setting. Tokyo 2000X. Actually, this kind of works out because this is what I was looking to do for my one-shot. This option allows you to play an occult action kind of setting, where you exterminate demons or even fight against the Ring of Gaia in a modern-day setting. It is the time when the Ring of Gaia schemes have yet to be discovered, so Hikawa has already succeeded in summoning Baphomet and has already found Takao Yuko, who will be his maiden of creation. Already, the world has begun to fray at the seams, but few have begun to notice, those few being PCs, of course. Okay, the player characters, as before, humans will have alone lived a life, Take note that no player character is from an organization that can oppose... Take note that no player character is from an organization that can oppose the Ring of Gaia. Even if someone takes a soldier sample character, their superior officers will never understand why they're doing what they're doing. Okay, that's kind of important to note. Optional setting, school life. With this option, you can use Nocturne's rules to play in a school setting. Let's see, students of the Tokyo High School area or related staff like teachers within the school, bizarre incidents occur due to the result of the Ring of Gaia cult. The player characters, they can be demons, humans, fiends, encouraged to be humans. For subclasses, soldiers and Monikins cannot be selected unless the GM approves it. Sure. Fiends and demons must take human forms. If playing a student, the player character may select the expert skill once, and if playing a teacher, then they get to take profession skill instead. Yep. And finally, Game Master. Welcome to the Game Master section. Which, I think we're we're almost done with the book. Bro, child soldier! No! Not like that! Oh no. Alright, the Game Master section. What is a Game Master? Bro, that's me. I'm the Game Master. TTRPG is 2 roles. Yeah, you just make the rolls, you do it. Importance of a Game Master. Comparing a GM to the director of a movie highlights the specialness of story games like the TTRPGs. Story games aren't like complete games where player characters compete for supremacy within a bound of set rules. Rather, they are more of an open game, constantly changing while incorporating elements outside of itself. This book provides all sorts of rules and information for you to help to run the game, but that alone isn't the game. The game only happens when a GM and players come together. You can use the scenario of the published book, but once it's over, the GM is left to create their own story. Very true. So for all of you thinking of GMing, have confidence in the unique story within you and take everyone on that adventure. That's kind of sweet. No two GMs are alike and their players are all different. Yeah, very true. I do like that the book basically stresses out. Okay, now, I know despite all the complicated bullshit we've read, I do like that the little sections here that they do have outlined are really good for players who are not familiar with TTRPGs, because it explains these things that, well, you and I know this, but other people may not know this. And I think that this is good that this section exists because, you know, you're basically learning about how to be a DM. You're learning about how to play a TTRPG. You know, the little reminders are nice. That's good. GM's duties, serve as the referee. Yeah, I feel like a referee. Either that or a judge sometimes. For the story and read through the rules of the game. And when it comes time to make a ruling or decision during the game, you'll know how to decide the outcome. Create the story. Yep, that's kind of what we do. You need to learn how to use Roll20 one day. It's very easy. I use Roll20 for most of my D&D like campaigns. So it's very easy. It's just a lot of like uploading assets, and if you have like the Roll20 subscription, you're able to just like upload a lot of assets, upload a lot of music, and you can just sort of like set up your campaign in there. Let's see. Okay. Create the scenario. For each session, the GM is expected to create the scenario and use an existing scenario or utilize ideas. Yeah, the GM creates the story, you tell the story, and then you run the game. Okay, this is interesting. Maintaining the tone. One of the GM's important duties is to maintain the game's atmosphere, its tone. Story games live in the interactions within the GM and their players, but players don't always have a firm grasp on the tone intended for the scenario the GM or another designer, or if you're using a pre-made, has created. Therefore, GMs should both before the game and during it consider how best to maintain the tone and also how to maintain the fun and allure of a story. Let's see, decision rules. Okay, I like this. All right, we're going to talk about, I do like how this is written here. During the game, the GM serves as a bridge connecting the players with the rules, and often you will need to know what rule to reference. Okay, so yeah, I like that this makes sure it's like, go back, look at the rules if you need to know something. If you don't know something, you can kind of make it up, but be consistent. All right, this is what we're talking about, baby. I like these rules. Okay, keep it nocturne. The biggest rule to follow here is whether trying to make a decision is to interpret it in a way that makes the game nocturne-like. Ask yourself, what makes sense for the world of Nocturne? If you make your interpretation along these lines, it'll make it a lot easier for everyone to get on the same page. Make it player-friendly. Whenever you're not sure how to interpret a rule, make sure that whatever you decide is kind to the players. This way, you'll keep things moving in a way that won't stop the fun. Make it fun. At the end of the day, the GM has final say, and so can even decide to ignore parts of the rules. This should be done when you're feeling that doing so would make the game more fun. Literally, okay. I love that they put that in, the rule of cool. They literally said, if you think it's going to be fun, do it. Ignore the rules and just do it. I like that. That, to me, that means a lot. That's like really, really cool. Okay, be consistent. Always be consistent in your ruling, and if you ever change your mind, it's easy for the new players to get confused, and then problems arise. Yeah. Basically, if you're going to make adjustments, keep it simple. Don't rewind. Often, you realize that a rule's decisions you made was an error, and if you do so during a game, it's best to not pause and rewind time before the decision. Don't dwell on the mistake, just go forward knowing that the proper ruling in the future. Scenarios. Okay, so this is where we talk about GP. Okay, so GP is just basically CR in your regular D&D campaign, which is more or less the difficulty parameter, so you know what's tough, what's not tough, etc. So let's get to that part. Let's see, scenario. Game master needs to come up with a scenario, otherwise you have no game. Damn, really? True. A scenario in this case is an outline for the adventure of how you want it to go, and contains the NPCs that will appear in the story and any events that might happen. Also gather together any relevant stat blocks or other data needed. Yep. Okay, gate power. Every area you'll find in the Vortex World has a gate power listed for it. Estimate for how high a level scenario set in this area should be, or below, you'll find a guideline. -5, weak enemies. If all enemies in this encounter are weak, you can just, you have up to twice the number of player characters and enemies. Yep. GP. Demons with this level, or demons at this level or below, serve as a basic encounter for the player characters and can equal the number of player characters. 5+, this is like a mid-boss, 1 or 2 adds should be enough. 10+, standard boss accompanied by 1 to 3 minions. 15 to 20, powerful boss, they should be without minions. 20+, may as well be undefeatable. Treat these like optional bosses or ones with conditions. Never give them minions. When making your scenario, compare the party level to the gate level of the area on how to make it appropriate. Yep, that sounds about right to me. Okay, how to make a scenario. Creating a scenario for Nocturne primarily rests in 2 steps. Choosing a boss, then figuring out your drama. Wow, make it sound so simple. Okay, so now we're getting into like the nuts and bolts, because we talked about a lot of DMing when we talked about our whole series on learning 5e, but this is interesting because now we're going to sort of translate some of those skills that we learned there to here. So, choosing a boss. One of the main appeals of Nocturne is that you can relive the battle you had with a cool, powerful enemy that showed up in the original game, but now in a TTRPG form. I don't know why the way that's worded is just so fun. That is a way to say you can tangle with the boss battle yourself and enjoy the thrill personally. Choose a demon you want to have the player characters face. Then figure out what is an appropriate stage and circumstance that would lead up to the final confrontation with it. To get everyone excited for it, all that remains is to plan out and research an opening phase that will provide the motivation to get the player characters there, ready and excited for a boss battle. Okay, creating a boss demon. The demon stat blocks on page 126, created with the intentions to be reused as player characters. When you as the GM use them for enemies, you can grant them some special skills that they don't normally have. This is allowed. Yep, I'm allowed to cheat. I'm the DM. Whenever using a demon as a boss enemy, it's a good idea to determine or to differentiate them from other demons by its type, by giving them an extra skill, leveling them up, and generally raising them like one of the player characters would. Okay, fair enough. Jack Frost, who has learned Heat Wave, like in the sample character, is no laughing matter. Likewise, raise a pixie to level 40 and just see how strong she becomes, enough that she can handle nearly any trouble. You could also try fusing a demon with a Mitom or give them an extra buff or debuff skill to make them stronger. Demons raised in this way, okay. Increase the XP and money that they would drop by 10% for additional effect. I mean, that's cool. There's a very mathematical way if you want to do that, but that's fine. Minions. A simple way to make a boss battle more exciting is to have some thematically appropriate subordinate demons that appear alongside the boss. The research phase may make it so that player characters discover the boss's weakness too easily, leading to a boss battle that's over before it begins, therefore boring. Damn, they really said it. To avoid that, give the boss some underlings that have different affinities, and you'll challenge the player characters in a fun way. Demons with recovery, buff, or debuff skills can make a really powerful reinforcement for a boss. Welcome back. Welcome back, Hawkins. The boss trait. As a GM, you can give an important NPC or a demon the boss trait. If this helps your scenario out, an enemy without a boss trait gains the following abilities. Oh, you're not getting any crazy ones this time? Okay. Let's see. To make for a stronger boss battle, it may be a good idea to place 1 to 4 demons around the player character's levels alongside the boss. Okay, so let's see. Bosses can perform 2 actions on their turns. Can be any combination. For example, can use an area of effect spell with a basic hit, or a buff skill, then an attack skill. Bosses should be as strategic as possible. At the start of the battle, bosses should use buffs and area effect skills. Then once they're buffed up as much as they can, switch to combining area attacks and targeted attacks. Yep, that makes sense. It's funny, I do like that they make it so when enemies have the boss trait, this is basically the DM saying, here's a player character, go knock them out. But that's fun, because now this makes it interesting, because now because most demons, like how the book recommends you do regular combat encounters is think like the demon, But now, for bosses, think like you're the player character. Now you want to win, but for real. And that's good. I like it. That makes this a lot more of an interesting and engaging type of combat encounter. Granted, you could do that in a regular D&D campaign setting, but look, most of the time we have to make some adjustments because you don't want to make an encounter that's ridiculously hard. You also don't want to be a pain in the ass. So you try to meet them halfway. Let's see. Bosses can use fate points. Generally, these are best used to stop the boss from dying instantly or having their weakness exploited or removing ailments. Using them to prevent damage to a healer minion is good as well. See, bosses can use boss exclusive skills. They also have double the amount of HP and MP. They also grant extra money and can use items. Let's see, whenever the DM deems it appropriate, the following skills can be added to any boss demon. Ooh. I see. The fun stuff. All right. Well, as someone that enjoys Megaten, wow, you could be such an ass. Null ailment, because it simply isn't fun when the boss is rendered powerless, and most bosses past the starting levels are either null some elements or all of them. Null light, it's best to avoid instant death attacks on your bosses. No shit. Dakunda and Dakaja, these skills are particularly essential at high levels due to interplay between buffs and debuff skills. Yep, that adds like layer 2. Look, I jokingly said that, but you have layer 1, which is the status, you have layer 1, which is elemental weaknesses, layer 2, which is status ailments, then layer 3, which is the meta, or the big brain thinking of any Megaten game, is the buff and debuff cycle. Interesting. Very, very interesting. And using Beast Eye or Dragon Eye when at half HP. This makes for something like an enraged trigger. Giving bosses more actions in a turn definitely qualifies as a threat. However, this is important enough to repeat. Skills that grant additional actions like Dragon Eye should be limited to being used once per turn, and if not, then strategically speaking, the boss would be able to take infinite actions. Yeah, that's, you don't want that. Look, as fun as it is, and as meme as it is, look, who doesn't want to be mod, okay? But it's not fair. Maybe do it once as a joke, and then don't do it ever again. You can really be a dick, but there you go. Okay. You have a confession? Really? What is your confession, Hawkins? Tell me. You tried playing some D&D with some coworkers today. Really? How did that go? I like how chill this song is. It's very nice. Hired to look into a weird virus going down. I don't know. You kicked it in. You kicked it open. Nice. Oh, man. Let's see. Magatamas and demons, like Black Frost in games, sometimes you'll see a demon who have ingested a Magatama. Demons who do this will end up becoming... wait a minute. Player character demons who do this will end up becoming NPCs, but for boss battles. What? Interesting. Wait, what? Demons who ingest a Magatama can power up their stats and skills at once. Interesting. That's interesting ruling. Look, I can kill the final boss if it's a door. Nice. To the point where people say, do you just love destroying shit? Nice. I like that. Let's see. Figuring out your drama. A TTRPG is based on conversation, so many people can understand the appeal of conversing with NPCs and exchanging lines. With a TTRPG based on an existing property like Tokyo Conception, in particular, many of those same people want to act just like they were in the original game itself, such as first consider what kind of dramatic scenes you want to reenact, and then create a scenario to incorporate those events that can lead to reproducing those situations. Okay, fair enough. You'd rather be the destructive guy than the murder hobo who uses spells on ally. You know, fair enough. Fair enough. Let's see. Motivation and situation. Motive and situation. To have a dramatic scenario, the most important things are to have driving motions and situation where people can express their feelings. Let's say, for example, you wanted a scenario where a man and a woman who were dating before the conception meet again in the Vortex World but as enemies. You would need to provide both motivation for them to fight and a situation where they could recall their shared love. For the motivation, you could say that it's for survival, or perhaps their reason or their feelings for a reason. For the situation, you need a memory. Maybe the two had a date in the park and saw each other, or they maybe had a date at the park or along the beach and saw a certain movie together, and all that's necessary for the two of them to meet again, realize their feelings for one another. It's best you can narrow the situation down to a single sentence for simplicity's sake. Therefore, you can set these things up in the opening and build them into research, and finally have that being resolved during a boss fight. Oh. You turn the players' one-shot characters into bosses for the main campaign and leaders of their own small clan. You know, it's not a bad idea, actually. I'm just thinking about that. See, you'll say this, your party member used the thunder ability to hit you and a monster. Rude? You got your chain lightning bounce off you? That's rude. Oh, man. Let's see. The Lost seek answers. When boiled down, the game's original plot was a story of people who were lost, clinging to answers they found. Actually, this is a very interesting bit because this is a very interesting breakdown of Nocturne's story. I was not expecting this. The Lost seeking answers. When boiled down, the game's original plot was a story of people who were lost, clinging to answers they found. Let's see. Takao Yuko's feeling that the world could not continue as it was met with the ideals of Hikawa, who could not live with the chaos of modern society. From that, the conclusion of recreating a world arose. Yuko, unable to shake her lingering doubts and seeking other possible answers, turns to the protagonist as an irregular element. Tachibana's pride was shattered on her realizing her powerlessness in her new reality. She became so drawn to Yasuga, wherein the powerful would rule all, and when she became a pseudo-fiend and gained unparalleled power, it only served to show how cruel she truly was. Let's see. With drama at the heart of the story, the answers people of the Vortex World seek will become an important consideration. The dramatic change of the world, of the end of the world, makes the doubts of the characters all too real, forcing them to act, lest what they desire slip through their fingers. When the world moves on so rapidly, it doesn't even allow time to reflect. People may find themselves pushed in directions they had never expected. When sitting down to create a scenario, you should give these proper consideration on how the feelings that will serve your theme will change the Vortex World. For that, keep your players' backgrounds and bonds always in mind. That's actually really, really well done. Okay. Utilizing drama. Scenarios that prioritize drama often spotlight a single player. Consider saying this ahead of time so that the other players understand where they are within the scenario. Okay, here's the other nuts and bolts part. Random encounters. We love them. We hate them. You can definitely hear more of my rants on that in like last night's stream. Look, man, I love Final Fantasy. The old games are fun, but holy shit, bro. Trying to find certain enemies is a pain when you're doing 100% bestiary. Okay, anyways. Random encounters. To design random encounters, it's good to prepare 2 separate groups of enemies. Divide the amount of threat they are posed to the player characters. First group should be a group of identical weak demons that are not just strong enough to be obliterated by the players, but are still not that much in a fight. It makes it largely to give the player characters more items, money, and EXP. Take care. However, if the player characters have AoE spells, that this group's weak points aren't... Yeah, okay. You just want to make sure that combat lasts 3 rounds. Got it. Okay, fair enough. Let's see. The second group should enter a mixture of demons that are made to be fun to fight. Give them a mixture of weaknesses and attack methods, as well as be on your way. Be sure to not include any healing or debuffing demons and allow for only 1 buff type demon. In this way, you can prolong the battle without damaging the thrill of a fight. You should aim for the group last round 4 to 5 rounds. You know, this is actually kind of a nice little way to talk about combat, because I was curious how we should do combat in this, because it's a very combat heavy campaign. I'm going to be real with you. But this makes it a lot more interesting because it gives us room to let the combat happen, but also not be super strenuous, at least. Okay. Warm up and cool down. Let's see, the GM's work doesn't lie solely on running the game, but rather before and after the game as well. Warm up and cool down makes it so you particularly know what kind of players you've got and any way to adjust. Let's see. Tokita Yusuke, the designer of the game, often runs demo games. He has some advice for prospective GMs based on his experience. That's cool. As much as you can during the warm-up phase, try to figure out your players' enthusiasm levels, their quirks, and how much experience they've had. If you're playing a game of Nocturne with someone for the first time, the following questions are particularly useful. What is your experience with Nocturne? Ask the player to briefly explain their familiarity with the source material or how much of they've played. It'd be a shame if you accidentally spoil something from the game. From their answers, you basically gain a basic understanding of their knowledge of the world and how much of it you need to explain. Additionally, ask about what other games they've been playing to get a feel for their preference. Experience with TTRPGs. Next, I'd like to ask, what is their level with TTRPGs? Yeah, this would be very interesting because most of the time, if we're running a game like this, it's either because you're a fan of SMT and you also happen to play TTRPGs, or maybe you're just a regular SMT fan and you've never played a TTRPG. Would I recommend this as your first TTRPG? In my personal opinion, probably not, because it can get complicated. But if you want to play something SMT, yeah, I think this is a good option. Let's see. Let's see. Next thing I'd like to ask their experience for TTRPGs and whether or not they've had experience as a GM or what their favorite TTRPG is. Then you can use this to some extent to figure out how do you need to explain the rules, understand and misinterpret, or, be able to misinterpret misunderstandings, stuff like that. Let's see. They played similar dice games, but may not know how to read it in this game. In addition, their expectations for a story or how heroic the protagonists are may differ. Yeah, that is another tricky thing because again, Megaten's very different from like how would I describe it? Oh, hey, this is actually from the FemC Reload mod. I didn't even know this was on Spotify. That's cool. Cool. I'm saving that. What's it called? Yeah, my biggest problem that I have with this is, yeah, a lot of the TTRPGs people are playing, they're primarily coming from like D&D or stuff that's more fantasy based. So this would definitely be out of that realm. You know what I mean? That's always the tricky part. Whenever you're playing tabletop games and you start looking at things outside of D&D or medieval fantasy, it can be kind of tricky to get into unless you're like someone who's a fan of Warhammer or maybe Cyberpunk or VTM, stuff like that. So it can be kind of tricky to sort of introduce people into something like this, but, is what it is. Okay. Hobbies outside of gaming. Lastly, I asked them for one hobby they particularly enjoy that has nothing to do with gaming. TTRPGs are made up of many aspects and disciplines, much like how movies are, so figuring out a player's other hobbies will help you understand what they focus on. Like, for example, people who like the occult and are lovers of mythology will get a kick out of the many demons that appear in Tokyo Conception. Conversely, someone who's into firearms and martial arts may feel disappointed that modern society no longer exists in the Vortex World. Make sure you help steer them in the right direction by explaining these sticking points beforehand. If these questions and the conversations, they provoke fire from your players, or fire your players up, then all you need is to have a good warm-up, and from there, all's left is to jump into the game proper by showing them the trailer. And they already talked about before, the trailer is basically like this game's version of the character creation handout, sort of like your Session 0 stuff. Also, whoops, I made it a little bit too low, my bad. You know what? Let's jump to another track real quick. I got you. Yeah, sure, we can go with that. Okay. Okay, so now we're getting into some of the extra stuff. So this would be like the bonus scenarios that they've sort of written for us to use to get to understanding and playing. So like these are like, how do I describe it? Like modules, basically, which is cool. Well, now you can tell we're really at the end here, because now these are just the additional modules that they've got listed for us to mess around with. Okay, the scenario. Your enemy is Shiranui. Let's see, dramatic scenario for level 10 characters. Reclaim the Himuragi. A fiend seeking to do battle with an Oni reunites with an old friend in the heart of a hostile stronghold. But all the two have for each other is violence. Okay, so let's see, we got... Wow. Yeah, one person who's playing a fiend, and then the rest of the party are demons. Great. In search of a friend, full scratch. Let's see. Oh, that's cool. It actually has, if you wanted to do the quick start stuff where you use the preload characters, or if you wanted to do full scratch and like make your characters again. That's good. I like that. Unforced demon, let's see, weak to fire demon. Okay. Interesting. Trailer. Get it back. Take our Himuragi back. Monacan settlement had sheltered them, and now it was reduced to ashes, with the elders' dying wish in their hearts. A fiend and their companions take off in pursuit of the arsonist. Once they catch up, however, they find an all too familiar face amongst their foes. What the hell are you doing? No amount of pleading would reach their friend. Does he think he can solve everything with flame? Your enemy is Shiranui, and there's no room for bargaining. Okay, so I guess this is going to be a scenario where, yeah, we have our opening setting, we have our story, and this is more or less like getting the players into the situation. We have them go through it, dungeon attack, yeah, this is them going into the dungeon, find where he's hiding, if it comes face to face with an old friend, becomes the battle was fierce, and let's see, lastly, player characters enter a climactic battle with the Kara and the Flame Fiend. Okay. Let's join the squad. So now you get it. I can't stop fighting. I have to protect Miki. Very dramatic. Very dramatic. Let's see. After the player characters have chosen their characters, you can go through the scenario. Let's see. Lost time. You have to invite me to your wedding. Those were words said to Akira and Miki the last time you went out for drinks together as students. While you meant to poke fun at the couple, you had instead rapidly turned serious. Let's see. Yeah, man, we'll definitely want you there. You can give your speech. Taking a shot back, laughing. I do like this, like, written scenario. Let's see, Miki, that was player character 2. She was Miki's friend and a martial artist besides. Alright, how about this? I'll dress up like Darth Vader and kidnap Miki, and Akira could come in swooping to save her. Hey, I like that. I'll keep you safe, Miki, no matter what. Good memories, but before the ceremony could happen, the world ended. Okay. Interesting. These are all the different scenes. I do like that they have a lot of this like pre-written scenario if you wanted to like go through. And they have this as an example. Again, it won't play out maybe beat for beat, but this is very good. Let's see. Bad. Let's see, another scenario, the dragon hunt. Let's see, so that snake's been causing all the problems, huh? All right, let's do this. Wow, amazing, very quick. Yeah, okay, this one's a case of player characters getting together. They're going to be trying to do some troubleshooting. Okay, I see how this is done. So this whole thing is like a big explanation of like how you could run a scenario, and this is like one of their entry scenarios to sort of get you into it. So now what we're looking at here, these are like more of like the bullet point ones. Now this is where the fun stuff's going to be. Okay. Let's see, should have at least 5 or more player characters. Increase the number of Nozuchi to 2. Okay, yep. Defend it from a Nozuchi. It's a level 14 creature. You know, be tough enough. Burning village. The village is on fire. Wow, amazing. Player characters find the heavily wounded Elder Monacan villager, or the village Elder Monacan, who tells them that it was the Mantra Army who did this. Takara and her Oni. They stole the Hamaragi. Oh, that's literally what we were just reading before. Nice. Cool. Nice. All right. Troubleshooting. Critical importance here is getting the player characters to accept that they need to go and save the Monakins. If they don't buy into this, then the story can't progress. If the two fiends look over the survivors, you can use this as an opportunity to suggest that the flame-wielding demon was just another fiend, just like that. Okay, escape. Let's see, the player characters crest a sand dune close to the western Shinjuku ruins. Before they do that, a Monacan overcomes the dune and tumbles down past them, crying for help. Once they turn to the Monacan for help, they hear a voice from further in the dune. Oh, so one of you survived. And then it's an Oni. Yeah. Oh, okay, I see. It's funny. I do like that there's a troubleshooting section here to really help you, like, understand how to work in the scenario. Because, like, yeah, of course, you're never going to be able, like, okay. The rule of thumb is you do not want to railroad your players. But for some of these scenarios, you kind of have to do that. But this is doing a good way of explaining different ways you can go about it. You know what I mean? Like, that's good. Okay, we don't necessarily need to do it all at once in one shot like that. But I'm cool with that. Music? Oh, music literally died. Okay, 1 sec. 1 second. Let's go with... What's this one? Oh god, no. Nope. Yeah, we could play that. I had to think about it for a second. Let's see. Scenario 4, rumors. Interesting. Okay, so this is like another follow-up from the other one. Underground prison. Let's see, reunion in flame. Interesting. This is all following like that whole first big scenario that they put. It's just like giving you a bunch of different bits and pieces that you can use to like basically make a full scenario. Or a full like campaign based off on like the bits and pieces of this. Let's see, troubleshooting, the rescue, and the ending. Once Victor is decided, yeah, okay. And Akira gets Miki back, and Ollie returns to the village. Let's see, but still, the world will not be returning. See, now the ending. Okay. Oh, interesting. This is how you can sort of see how like all this goes. It all connects. Nice. Other scenario ideas. Now this is the fun part. Okay. That was a pretty good though. Like nice little bit. Yeah, look, we're kind of skipped over a lot of that, but a lot of it is just basically reading out like an actual play bit by bit, and it's nice. You get like a full story out of that. And that would be a good idea to use as like a basis of a campaign for yourself, or you can just jump down to here. Which is exactly what I'm kind of recommending to do here for me, because I'm doing a bit of a mix, because we're going to do Escape from the Shinjuku Medical Center, which is basically what I'm planning on doing, so should be good. Okay. Using the ideas. So we have our scenario ideas page. As they are merely ideas, seeds, really, GMs will need to provide their own details, so feel free to adjust the levels and demons for your player characters. Escape from the Shinjuku Medical Center. Sample characters are okay. Level 10 from 4 to 5 players, of which there is a fiend and a pixie. In this idea, you play the medical center segment from the original game as is. The first scenario could be waking up in the basement until you take the key from the Pretas, and then the second scenario can be the boss fight against Fornius. As Pretas are fairly weak, you should elevate the Pretas to level 10 to give it the boss trait. This idea does allow you to start from level 1 if you like, but you should spend more time exploring the basement to build up. Junk collecting. Peter Pan. This idea is an encounter of a demon who doesn't want to evolve. A pixie who doesn't want to become a high pixie has gone missing, and the player character... Oh, that's kind of funny. The player characters find she's ingested a Kamuto Magatama and now is a murderer, much like Sakahagi. The player characters must defeat the Algo that has orchestrated all of this and return the pixie to normal. Holy shit, that's crazy. The Ghosts of the Garden, human only. This idea uses the before the conception ruling. Ring of Gaia ritual transforms the mountains around the school into a demonic landscape. A tale of strange creatures begin to spread, and the player characters as high school students go in search of these mountainous spirits. And then they are attacked by Will-O-Wisp, pixies, and the group defeats a Hopao. At the center of it finds a Magatama who returns to school. Just as this group debates what to do with the Magatama, the conception occurs and the world ends. Let's see, Deep Below. From level 10 to 15, humans, fiends, and any other starter Magatama are caught during the conception riding the subway and get thrown down into the underground pass. And the player characters escape the underpass with all the strange, slimy creatures prowling around, or will they be trapped down there forever? The Last Hurrah. Ooh. Level 30, one human soldier. Let's see. In order to fight the demons, a military officer in Ikebukuro is aiming to recover the artillery that remains in the Ichigaya JSDF base. After putting off the pursuit from the divine demons, the player character arrives at Ichigaya, only to meet with 7 surviving soldiers who are protecting the last military cannons. Initially, they will be wary of any demonic appearing persons among the player characters, but with some persuading they can be convinced to hand them over. However, the Assembly of Nihilo senses a threat and sends demons led by Baphomet and intercept the cannons. The boss for this would be Baphomet, can use items. Okay, the string wall. Provide shelter for the maiden who escaped from the Ring of Gaia. Strange barrier composed of strings. Kikurihime, infected by the madness of Sakahagi. Driven berserk, unleashed her powers of her kukuri, which she uses to seal the world of the dead. To save her, the maiden, the group needs to defeat Sakahagi. Okay. Nightmare system. Tunnel trouble. Hachiko missing. Oh my god. Dekorabi would always meet his friend Fornius at the Hachiko statue in the famous landmark, but now someone has stolen it. Gaze of Illusion. Let's see. Someone important to the player character, a lover, a mentor, has been captured by the Mantra Army. To get them back, they will need to enter the Kabukicho prison. Okay, the illusion thing. Okay. Just more reason to go through that. Hirobi. A fiend claiming to have established the force reason of Hirobi enters the temple to convert Asiel into the sponsor god of reason. Said reason, desiring the destruction of the Vortex World itself. Player characters are warned of this by Rithona, one of the Zoas of Albion, and they must reach the Black Temple in order to prevent the summoning of what would be the world's destruction. Okay. Murder at the Kaminarimon. There we go. Let's see. After Asakusa is restored, a bizarre string of murders occurs wherein mannequins are found with their flesh entirely removed. Amidst increasing persistent rumors that it is the work of Sakahagi, the disgrace of the mannequins. Futomimi, the leader of the Asakusa, surprises everyone by asking the player characters to resolve the matter. In truth, an incubus from the Assembly of Nihilo is at fault, attempting to destabilize Asakusa from within. Interesting. Okay, they started to panic. Okay, this is a lot more. Okay, this is the one that we want to read. Okay, let's read this. I want to read this. The Demi-Fiend. Level 50 recommended. Yasuga line. He's coming. First line. He is coming. Oh shit. The Demi-Fiend, with nothing in his heart, comes to oppose Our Lady Chiaki, a creature with no reason, one who is human yet also not. He cannot be saved. The Demi-Fiend is coming to challenge Chiaki, bringing along powerful friends as well. The player characters must protect the leader of Yasuga and stand there not just against the Demi-Fiend, but his cohort of demons as well. Let's see. Kitandashi, Queen Mob, Kuchinada. The Demi-Fiend himself is but a fiend at level 60 with all starter Magatamas as well as the Magatama Murakumo and Dejid all completely mastered. Holy shit, dude. Bro, he is overpowered. Damn. Damn. Holy shit, bro. Like, this would be a scenario you run for fun because, bro, unless like you do a whole long campaign and you make the Demi-Fiend an optional boss, whoo, that's gonna be a real fucking tough one. See what other ones we got here. Daughter of the Devil. Willem is the daughter of the devil who supposedly holds the fate of the world in her hands. Nyx asks the player characters to escort Willem to the top floor of the obelisk. Should they manage it, the player characters will be able to witness the creation of the first woman, the world's strongest clan or night clan demon Lilith. See the Amala network. We already talked about that. Follow me in order to become friends with, or at least earn the demon card of a Kushinada. They have to enter the gardens of the Asakasa, or yeah, the Akasa estate in the northern Akasa. Oh no, not the puzzle world. No, dude. Why is it level 50? That's a little bit much. Ooh, the Wrath of Shiva. Yep. The battle over the creation tower is interrupted by the sudden intrusion by the mighty fury Shiva. Someone must have summoned him, but it is unknown who, and regardless, Shiva only brings slaughter and destruction to the tower. The Monarchins ask the player characters to take on an absurdly dangerous task of stopping Shiva's rampage. That would be very cool. And Chapter 8, the Index. Which, yep, this is, yep. This is where you get your sheets and fill it out. You know, now that we actually have a blank sheet, it's kind of interesting to look at. Okay, so what is this? We have a regular fiend sheet. You can put in your name, gender, character art, background, contact level, EXP endorsement points. So Man, I'm gonna have to like put in. This is gonna be annoying. I'm gonna later on have to go through and grab these sheets and like make them fill out PDFs. It's gonna be annoying. I see. More of your stats, all your different Magatama. Dude, what song are we listening to, bro? Oh, this is whack. You know what? That's even less appropriate. You know what? Hold up. Let's go and listen to this again. Yeah, there we go. That's what you want. Okay. Demon sheets. Okay, it's about the same. And humans. Okay, and then I guess this is the cheat sheet. Yep, rule summary. Golden rules. When dealing with fractions or decimals, always round down. GM has final say. And 2 10-sided dice. Checks, target number. Let's see, you found a sweet looking fillable 5e character sheet done in the style of P5. Oh, dude, that's awesome. Damn, now I gotta go look at that. That looks cool. Okay. Let's see, fumbles, power rolls. You have your fate point system, initiative, actions, and a session sheet. Interesting. I don't think I've ever done one of these before. But we did talk about it. Seating arrangement. Huh. Okay. I guess this is where you list any gems, any demons that they got, the party level, etc. Sheet is for the other players. You pass this out, and you let them fill out their stuff. Oh god. All right. Okay, hold up. We need a... Oh, there we go. Okay. The phases of the Kagatsuchi. Oh, Jesus Christ, bro. I'm gonna have to... Oh, I'm gonna need to set this up for my players to read. This is gonna be a pain in the ass. Okay. Outside of a dungeon, the GM may set the phase of the Kagatsuchi as they like. During a dungeon attack, the Kagatsuchi progresses in the following ways. Move one step in the Kagatsuchi chart per scene. Move one step per battle. Yeah, I'm not reading this. Yeah, no shit. Okay, because there are factors that change here. Every time you pass the new moon or phase 0, the player makes a luck check. If all players fail, then they get into an encounter. Okay, sure, I guess. I mean, this is one way to do random encounters, but this is like a lot, bro. You could probably make this simpler. But sure, I guess, like, again, this is more a case of this is the source material, so it's, yeah, of course it's going to be kind of like that. Yeah. If you did this in a setting, for me, I'll just ask you to flavor more D&D rules into it. Yeah, that's honestly probably what I'm going to do, because it is important for the setting, but I think I'll probably try to simplify this if I can, because let's be real, it's a little bit... Oh, God. Oh, fuck. I say that, I forgot. We've still got the talk flow chart, which it looks very complicated, but it's really not that complicated. Okay, this is actually really good that it's literally all just in one sheet like that. Ailments. Yeah, okay, all this stuff is actually really important. Okay, stat blocks for me as the DM, so I can fill this out. That's good. Damn, they really gave me a grid. How nice of them. They provided me some graph paper, bro. Oh, yep, there he is. That's Black Frost. And credits. Yay, we did it. We're at the end of the book. Woo! Wow. Thinking about building a Persona-themed Warlock class? Oh, hell yeah, dude. About this book. Yay, we did it. Damn. $50. Oh, wow. Wow, wow, wow. Well. In Minecraft, of course. Damn. Okay, well, let's jump up all the way up here and let's talk for a sec. Let's let me do this real quick. Yeah, there you go. So, let's get some music. Let's talk. Let me find something a little bit more chill. What is this? No, we're not playing this. Where is it? Yeah, this will do. Okay, well, I gotta say, we finally did it. We completely read through the book. We did it. We finished reading through Shin Megami Tensei, the role-playing game, Tokyo Conception. Okay. Well, I now feel like I'm much more informed on what I need to do to sort of run this campaign for my friends. But let's talk a little bit about Real Deal here. Let's talk about the book. In my opinion, I think it's actually really good. The only thing is, well, it is complicated. It's complicated in the sense that if this is your first time playing a TTRPG, no shit you're going to be confused, because Shin Megami Tensei is a complicated game. If you don't know either Shin Megami Tensei or TTRPGs, yeah, it's going to be a little bit tough, okay? But if you're someone who's new to TTRPGs, but you are a Shin Megami Tensei fan, yeah, check it out. I'd recommend it. I think it's actually really good because while it is a TTRPG. It does a good job of still having a lot of those like game systems, like the demon fusions there, the way demons work. There's the negotiation. A lot of the core things that you want are in here. A lot of like how the combat flow seems to go is there. I mean, the D10 system or the D100 system is kind of interesting, but we'll see how it goes. I'm probably going to try to see if I can play some of this with some friends eventually. And hey, if anything, I'll give you a little bit of follow-up on that one, because I'm sure people would want to know how this goes. But yeah, that, I think, is my take on it. Like, I think it's actually really nice. It does give a lot of, you know, background and a little bit more flavor and lore that you can establish in the world, and that's good, because Nocturne itself is, like, I jokingly describe it as desert and geometry, bro, because that's most of what you see when you play that game. But yeah, overall, pretty good. Very complicated. Like, I feel like if you're gonna give this to someone who plays 5e, no, don't. They're gonna look at this and they're gonna put that down. Yep. Let's see. You do seem super interested. You would personally rather be a player. Yeah. I'm gonna tell you something. Yeah, give it to someone who plays 5e. I'm like, yeah, they're not gonna play it, bro. They're just gonna look at it and be very confused. Yeah, I'll be honest. Me as the GM, I feel like I'm gonna have so much fucking work ahead of me to do, because Nocturne itself as a setting is strange. Because the Vortex World is very underdeveloped, or it's just developed enough, you know what I mean? Where it's like, it's a lot of the GM having to flex their muscles here to really make it more compelling, because it's okay for a game world to be mysterious, but when you're the one who has to run the game world, that's very different, you know? So you really kind of have to like figure it out. And I do like that the scenarios at the back of the book did do a good job of helping that out. I think you would recreate this in D&D rules. I'll be honest, I'm gonna have to try to explain to my tabletop group in D&D rules, and the best thing I could say is a lot of the system in this is more similar to like Warhammer or like Vampire the Masquerade. So I would say use it explaining those things. Trying to explain it in D&D terms is different, because D&D is a D20 system, and this just isn't a D20 game. Like, levels work different, stats work different, the level scaling is, oh god, I don't want to talk about that, that's a fucking mess. But I do like that at the core of it, it's Shin Megami Tensei. Like, it's very Megaten. You have fusions, negotiations. I think what's very interesting is the added layer of the buffing and debuffing spells, as well as some of the boss traits, because, well, in a game that's known for press turns, there are no really press turns in this. I mean, you could probably make a homebrew rule to add them, but then, you know, then shit would spiral ridiculously out of control, you know what I mean? But I guess that's something that you can figure out on your own if you really want to do it, or hell, make your own homebrew rule to add Nahabinos into it, which are a mix of, like, you know, merging human and demon player characters. But go figure, you're gonna be in for a world of pain if you try to solve that one. I mean, is it doable? Absolutely. I think you can totally make a homebrew rule to add Nahabinos in from like SMT5 or a whole bunch of other things, but for now, at least for me, I'm gonna keep it to the book. We're gonna keep it simple, stupid, because I'd rather do that, understand what I'm playing, so I can get my players introduced into the world, and if they like it from the one shot and maybe we run the campaign, it can be at least interesting, you know? They may not be a fan of Megami Tensei, but the setting is interesting enough that why not, right? They might be feeling like, sure, we can do this setting, it's different enough and it's interesting, so why not? Well, I think that's really all I gotta say about it. So let me get us back out of here, and we can just kind of chill for a bit. Let me do this. Oh my god, I'm huge. Hi. I'm massive. Let me change this track. Let's get some fun music. Oh hell yeah, dude. So, and all I gotta say, so what did you think of it? Like I said before, I think it's very SMT. I think it's a pretty good read. Even if you're not like into SMT, you could steal stuff from this book. Who cares? Like, I say that in the nicest way. you know, use boss mechanics. You could steal some of these ideas. And then again, these are things that are in like a lot of other TTRPGs. Like obviously you have layer mechanics and other things. You think you'd have a headache of making heads or tails of it? Look, as someone that I'm familiar with the source material, even I'm a little bit skeptical because the book tries its best to explain it in TTRPG terms, but it's weird because the book has sections that are written for someone who is completely new to TTRPGs. And I understand that if you're introducing a book that's based on source material that is not a TTRPG on its own, yeah, I get that. But at the same time, it's like, it tries its best, but I feel like the book even knows it's complicated. You know what I mean? The person don't like the EXP system, but you find everything else compelling. Yeah, like I kind of feel that way too, because like what I don't like is that the game feels like it's forcing you to run random encounters like a lot. Like we looked at the Kagatsuchi chart. That thing literally is just designed to say, okay, the players move 5 steps, throw an encounter. And it's like, that's not really fun. But like, you know what I mean? It can be fun, but it doesn't always necessarily mean that it's a fun thing to do. But thanks, Leaf. Appreciate it. We're just going to chill and talk for a little bit before we wrap up. But yeah, it's interesting because I feel like my biggest thing that I'm going to need to figure out is how to deal with the random encounters, because the game wants you to have random encounters, and it specifically says have a random encounter that's weak and easy so the players can gain enough EXP, then run a random encounter that's the fun one. But then what's the point? Why not just make the fun one give more EXP, and then when they fight bosses, I don't know, just give them like 2 levels. I guess maybe because that's too much and it might feel overwhelming for the players to gain a lot of levels, but go figure, right? I feel like this is just like a scaling issue, but you know, go figure. I feel like the game's not really, well, I can't even say the game's not really designed for that, but the fucking final dungeon is level 80. But, I mean, look, let's be real. If you're even making it to level 20, that means you guys are in it for the long haul, okay? If you make it to level 80 and you go through the full Nocturne tabletop campaign experience, congratulations. You've got the reason. You have the power. Well, I think I'm tapped out. That was a very interesting book, and I guess we'll probably figure out what else we're gonna read next. I do kind of want to read a little bit of Lancer, so we may get to that at some point. But we've got a lot of TTRPGs to like read through, so oh yeah, don't worry about that. So as we're sort of getting ready to wind out here, I'm gonna say first off, thanks again for anyone who sort of popped in here. Always fun talking with you guys while we're looking through TTRPG stuff or, you know, gaming, whatever. And on that note, hey, bam, check out the links. Yeah, Lancer does seem fun. Yeah, I do want to take a look at that too. So I'll see if I can grab a copy of some of the books and we'll take a look. Also, same thing with like Starfinder, or hell, we got to look at Pathfinder too. But we'll worry about that when we get to Pathfinder. Anyways, there are the links. You can check it out. I have the YouTube channel where main videos coming soon. Shorts usually go out up on there. No short today because I'll be honest, I was kind of overwhelmed. I had a lot of stuff I was working on over the weekend, so I didn't get a chance to, but we'll have short coming out there eventually. Main video coming soon. And you have the VOD channel where you can find this VOD probably uploaded on Monday. Coming Monday. And we've got the Blue Sky and Twitter where you can always check out the schedule or see any other announcements that are going on. And yeah, I think on that note, I'm out of here for the night. So I gotta say thanks again, everybody, and I will catch you later. Thank you too, Hawkins. Catch you later, man. Have a good night, everybody. Catch you tomorrow where we're gonna be back with some more Kingmaker. Adios.